Good morning. The Board of Appeals meeting for Tuesday, August 27th is now in session. Just a reminder, please make sure your cell phones are off. And in conformance with the open meeting law, I'm informing you that this meeting is being live streamed. Any conversations that you need to have, please take them outside of the room. The acoustics in here make it very difficult for us to hear any testimony that's being presented or the applicant at the table. If you are here to speak in support or in opposition to a project, put your name and address on the record and give us new information. As you can see, we like to hear from as many people as possible, but that can only happen if you keep your part of the deal and just give us new information. Mr. Fortune?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first order of business, the extensions for 9:30, calling the first case, BOA 719-823, 29A Street. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is George Moranci. I'm an attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. I represent Francis Burns, the owner of the property at 29A Street in South Boston. This matter was approved by the board in August of 2017. This relief would expire on September 16th, 2019, if not extended. I'm advised my client has a title issue that has prohibited him from getting financing. That issue has to be resolved before he's able to get construction financing. Would that be the case?
Make a motion for a one-year extension.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 658-980, 10 McBride Street. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair. John Moran, Alpine Advisory Services, Alpine Way. Here today seeking a one-year extension. The board had approved the construction of a 3-unit building. The applicant's parents were ill in Ireland. He returned to Ireland to render care. When he returned, the contractor he had engaged was no longer interested in the project. He has a new
And is the
development.
permit still valid?
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve for 1 year.
One-year extension.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling the next two cases, calling BOA 754-380, 55 to 57 Brimmer Street. Companion case BOA 754-388, 63 to 69 Brimmer Street. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney John Pulgini, 10 Forbes Road in Braintree. This matter came before you back on February 27, 2018. It was approved unanimously by the board. There was kind of dealing with a direct abutter who we've been trying to work with in good faith to try to negotiate some design changes that would be acceptable to him. And I think we've reached the point right now that the decision should be signed. So we're respectfully requesting just a short extension, like 2 months, just so we can get that signed and approved. So,
I'll make a motion for a one-year extension.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Before we go into the next series of cases, this is a 6-member board today, and so any case needs to have 5 affirming votes for it to carry. The applicants may request an administrative deferral if they feel that they are interested in having a full board hear their cases. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first case for G-Card, I'm going to call into the record, calling BOA 975-0657 Beaver Place. That is being re-advertised to an updated refusal letter, so we have a date of October 8th, 2019 at 9:30. It's going to make a motion for deferral.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling the first case for G-Card, calling BOA 971-103, 85 to 99 Berkeley Street. This is an exterior facade restoration and roof replacement. The violations Article 32, Section 9. This is in the G-Card. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Mark Callahan, 95 Berkeley Street. I work for CIM Group, the owner of the building.
I'm Chris Ide with Niche Engineering, civil engineer.
Thank you, Christian.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have the BWSC approval letter.
Okay, do we have that in the file?
Don't see it here. We're looking right now.
May I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Can we get a copy of that, Kristen?
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 970-461-1271 Boylston Street. This is to expand the number of hotel rooms at the Verb Hotel by adding 10 modular structures at the rear of the property. The modular structures will look like mobile home trailers, but will be permanently affixed to the ground and utilities, includes associated site work and utility work. The violations Article 32, Section 32-4. This is in the G card. Name and address for the record, please.
For the record, Chris Rainier from Goulston and Stores, 400 Atlantic Avenue. With me, Mike Fitzpatrick from Samuels and Associates.
Why are these modular structures?
They're modular structures. They're constructed off-site as part of modular construction, brought to the site and then affixed to the ground.
And they're going to look like mobile home trailers?
That's correct.
And
They're
why
gonna-
isn't there something more permanent then? Is this anticipated to be temporary, or what is it anticipated?
So it's not temporary, so the reason that we're constructing it the way we are and making them modular is that they're actually going to be small buildings. So it will be permanent, it's going to be set on foundations, connected to permanent utilities, so it's there to stay, and it's going to operate with the hotel.
So why do they look like home trailers versus something interesting?
So we actually, that was part of the vision and part of another way to create an interesting atmosphere for that area. And so it was an extension of the brand that we have with the Verb Hotel, and we thought that it was a great way to activate Van Ness and add something interesting. So another throwback to a motor lodge and music theme connection to the neighborhood.
Are they Airstream?
They're going to look like Airstreams. They're not Airstreams though,
Okay.
but that vintage.
Did you put your name and address on the record? I didn't catch it. Did you? Okay.
My name is Mike Fitzpatrick, and I am with Samuels and Associates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christian?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have the BWSC approval letter.
Thank you.
We also have the letter.
May I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 968-359-285 Marlborough Street. This is an interior renovation. Work includes modifications, structural components, interior partitions. Violations Article 32, Section 4. This is in the G card. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street in Boston, attorney for the applicant homeowner. This is an existing single-family home that's undergoing a gut renovation, therefore triggers the substantial rehab provision of Article 32.
Thank you. Christian?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have the BWSC approval letter.
We also have the letter, Madam Chair.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 639-278-352 to 374 Massachusetts Avenue. Massachusetts Avenue here? All right, we'll hold that up to, well, what do you want to do here? Come back to it. Calling the next case, calling BOA 975-018-120 West Newton Street. This amendment is to remove the existing concrete slab in the basement, excavate down and pour a new slab 4 inches lower than the existing slab. The violations Article 32, Section 4. This is in G card applicability. Name and address for the record, please.
Theodore Steckel, 120 West Newton Street.
Do you want the actual address he lives at?
I assume you're the property owner?
I'm the general contractor.
Okay, and you're the property owner?
I'm the architect.
Okay. Please go ahead. Christian?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have the BWSC approval letter.
Okay,
Madam
may I
Chair, we
have-
also have the letter.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm going to call the 9:30 hearings. Are there any deferrals or withdrawals for 9:30? Counselor, address?
9-11 Seabrans Avenue.
Calling BOA 970-592-9011 Sevens Avenue. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller, 28 State Street, Suite 802 here in Boston. We'd like to ask for an administrative deferral. We are also working with the BPDA on a voluntary affordable unit and the details of that for this matter, and we just need a little more time to figure that out.
May I have a motion, please?
Before you have a motion, can I ask you a question on that one?
Yes, sir.
Does this involve redesigning the size of the units?
It will not. My understanding is it will not.
Just note that for the record, please. May I have a motion?
Motion for deferral.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We have a date of 10/29, 9:30, at 11:30, I'm sorry, on
Thank you.
10/29.
Thank you.
Are there any other deferrals or withdrawals for 9:30? Hearing none, we'll call the first case, calling BOA 970-100, 138 Harvard Avenue. This is a change of occupancy from storage, wireless communications, to music, art studio, wireless communications, interior renovations to include fire alarm, sprinkler, electrical, and plumbing. Violations, Article 51, Section 16. A music art studio is conditional use. Name and address for the record, please.
Attorney Jay Igerman, 171 High Street, Newburyport, Mass.
Haley Marsh, GFI Partners, 133 Pearl Street, Boston, Mass.
This is a relocation of an existing music studio, Studio 52, which is somewhat of an institution in Alston. It's going to move about half a mile across Cambridge Street. So currently the operation is at 52 Everett. It's going to move to 138 Harvard. The conditional use is required because music is not mentioned in the table of uses. If it were an arts use, it would be by right, but we're here because it's going to be music recording. It's about the same size as the existing facility, 25,000 square feet. It's set back from Harvard Avenue. There is access, but the lot is a little bit isolated inside. There's a loading dock. There's no parking required because there's no expansion of the floor area.
So tell us about the steps that the applicant is proposing to take to soundproof the space?
Yes, not only is it needed to protect the neighbors, but the musicians, there'll be several musicians at the same time, and they need to be insulated from each other.
So how many booths?
It'll be at least 100. Currently at Everett Street, it's 120. We're not quite sure what the final number will be at this new location.
So 120 musicians or booths?
120 booths at the existing and at least 100 at the proposed.
Okay. Okay, how are the plans of the,
The drawings are adequate.
questions from the board? So tell us, I'm still going back, we need to figure out how the soundproofing will work.
Let me defer to Haley.
So we have an existing Studio 52, which we had to go through soundproof testing, and the same will be in this new building constructed. It is a masonry structure, so we expect the soundproofing to be already better than our existing facility. But, you know, we'll install soundproofing and whatever we need to make sure that happens.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Would like to go on record support of this proposal. We conducted a butters meeting on May 2nd. It was a large turnout there, and then my office later received innumerable amounts of emails from artists that depend on Studio 52. They went on to the Alston Civic Association, received support as well. One of the tenets of our administration is fostering arts and culture, so we view this as a huge boom for the neighborhood and essential in preserving the unique spirit of Alston. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Daniel Polanco on behalf of Councilor Mark Siomo. Would also like to go on record in support.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Wasabi George's office, would like to go on record of support of this project. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mayor Perez representing the Carpenters Union. On behalf of our Boston residents, I want to go on record of support.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to, is there any exterior work in this, or is it all interior?
No, sir.
And
No
what does the
exterior.
exterior of the building look like? Are there grates or anything like that?
It's a self-storage facility now, so it's just a brick building. No changes to the
Will there be
outside.
new signage?
Minimal signage, you know,
All
nothing.
right, well, the reason I'm asking is whether to do a BPDA design review. So,
Understood. There may be signage. There's nothing proposed at this time.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve with BPDA design review.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Calling the next two cases, calling BOA 970-269-360 Corey Street. There's a companion case, BOA 970-271 1 Marlin Road. This is for 360 Corey Street. This is to construct on a single-family home a sister project, 2 dwellings on 1 lot. Violations, Article 56, Section 40.12, 2 or more dwellings on the same lot. Article 56, Section 8, lot frontage is insufficient. Article 56, Section 8, the floor-to-air ratio is excessive. Article 56, Section 8, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 56, Section 8, the front yard is insufficient. Article 56, Section 8, the rear yard is insufficient. Article 56, Section 8, the side yard is insufficient. This is for 1 Marlin Road. This is to construct 2 new single-family residential buildings on 1 lot. The violations, Article 56, Section 41.2, 2 or more dwellings on the same lot. Article 56, Section 8, floor-to-air ratio is excessive. Article 56, Section 8, usable open space is insufficient. Article 56, Section 8, the front yard is insufficient. Article 56, Section 8, rear yard is insufficient. And Article 56, Section 8, the side yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is James Christopher of RCA LLC. Excuse me. The business address at 415 Neponset Ave with project architects. I'm joined to my right by the property owner, Ms. Metzkovich. The proposal is to construct 2 single-family houses on 1 dwelling and to subdivide the whole lot, leaving 7,048 square feet. That is not a part of this project, what's indicated on your plans by in purple. The current iteration of the design is after a very extensive neighborhood process. The original proposal was for 2 3-unit townhouses and then 4 2-unit townhouses. We've taken a lot of care to site the buildings and to try to address as much of the neighbors' concerns as possible, including constructing single-family houses and relocating the siting to create open space and buffers between the properties. We've also designed the building to mitigate construction concerns, including there's some ledge on the site. So one of the concerns that we've heard from the neighbors is about the construction process and blasting. We do not intend to blast at all. If any ledge needs to be removed, it'll be done through chipping.
Is this the last lot before the cemetery? Or closer?
No, it's one before.
It's one before,
Like
okay.
one capstone before.
Okay. So can you speak through the violations, please?
Sure. The FAR allowed is 0.4, which each building individually is about 0.4. The total FAR between the 2 buildings is 0.8. The front yard and rear yard setbacks between the building on which addresses Marlin, there's 14 feet between that and the building which addresses Corey Street. And then at the rear of the Corey Street building, there's 32 feet, which meets the rear yard and front yard setbacks. On the Marlin Street building, we're following the modal. The side yard, the 3'2" violation is on the 358 Corey Street building, which addresses the lot, which will be created in the subdivision. So there will still be sufficient open space between that building and whatever happens in the future on that. My client has left that lot 2, as indicated on the plans, to potentially construct an as-of-right single-family project in the future, and is willing to deed restrict that to say as much.
Okay. And how is the parking being accommodated?
There are 2 parking spaces for each building, garage spaces at grade.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Earl?
The drawings are adequate, but I'm curious, the BPDA seems to recommend denial. Could you explain?
Yeah. For the record, I'm Brian Glasscock, Boston Planning and Development Agency. The BPDA board recommended denial without prejudice because the proposal creates 2 single-family dwellings on a single lot, and we would urge the proponent to consider a parcelization strategy that produces independent lots with wholly independent dwellings. We think there may be an opportunity to do that.
Brian, do you have copies? Because generally, each one of us gets a copy of the BPDA
I apologize for that.
recommendations.
Jeff Hampton was on vacation. I did make one additional copy of our recommendations, which I can provide you. And I realized I did provide one to Mr. Ehrlich, and it's in a very interesting and somewhat random order. So you have to.
Totally random.
Yeah.
Okay, so it keeps us on our
There may be
toes.
an order to it. I just don't understand it.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal? Is anybody here to speak in support? Please put your name and address on the record.
My name is Laurie Shaw. I live at 12 Marlin Road in West Roxbury. The developers have been very good in listening to us. They started out as townhouses. We requested single families, and they've worked above and beyond to put in single families. So we are in support. Thank you.
Barbara Davis, 5 Marlin Road. And I would just say exactly the same thing. This has gone through a number of iterations. The developer has been very open to listening to all the concerns and have addressed the concerns of the immediate abutters so that we all feel as though this is really a project that we would welcome in the neighborhood.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, before the mayor's office speaks, I just want to let you know that there's 8 pages with 74 residents against the proposed project from Brook Farm Road, Corey Street, Cricket Lane, Furbush Road, Keene Road, and Ledgewood Road, and Marlin Road.
Okay, so please, everybody who's in opposition, raise your hands. Okay. Let's hear from, let's see, there's 5 of you. We can accommodate you, but please put your name and address on the record and give us new information. Otherwise, just put your name and address on the record and just state that you're in support, okay? Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jack Duggan, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Just like to go on record of opposition. As you've heard, it has been an extensive community process, and the project has changed from the initial proposal, so it does have some support from neighbors, as you've heard, but overall we feel the majority of neighbors are against this proposal due to the density. 3 direct abutters are opposed to the project. The applicant went before the West Roxbury Neighborhood Council in June and received a vote 5-0 against the proposal, so we'd like to reiterate that opposition, and I have some letters here from the community as well I'd like to submit to. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Shannon Murphy from City Councilor Matt O'Malley's office. Our office has also been present at all of the community meetings thus far, including last night's meeting that was hosted by the developer himself. There were about 30 neighbors present, and the majority were in strong opposition to this project. With that being said, our office stands with the neighbors and will oppose this project as well.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office, would like to go on record in opposition to this project following the lead of the mayor's office and Councilor O'Malley's. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, City Council Alderman Michael Flaherty. Council stands with the majority of the neighborhood in opposition.
Okay, neighbors, put your name and address on the record. Give us new information in opposition. Otherwise, just put your name and address on the record.
My name is Luda Figurin, 6 Marlin Road, West Roxbury. I have a lot of concerns, but
Just
new information
listen.
would be that I have signatures, copies of 74 signatures with the ink.
We have that, ma'am.
You have this one?
Okay.
Do you want an index?
We'll take it for record if you
On
want.
behalf of 74
We can
neighbors
take it.
were against.
Thank you.
Victoria Strong, 47 Cricket Lane, West Roxbury. I oppose the project for the reasons Jack Duggan, Shannon Murphy, and Luda enumerated. Thank you.
Good morning. Laurie Lucas, 31 Cricket Lane. The developer is not the owner of the property. They are merely the developer with a proposal. There are 7 variances at 2 addresses, and they want to take 7,651 square feet and divide it in half to 3,860 and put 2 houses, 1 on each lot. The requirement is 6,000 square feet per house lot. So if this is allowed, it would set a precedent that anybody could sell their property and 2 could be put in its place with inadequate square footage. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Nellie Hayoun. I reside at 35 Cricket Lane, West Roxbury, and I oppose the variances and agree with the people who have spoken before me.
Thank you.
My name is Dee Dee Ketover. I live at 3 Keene Road in West Roxbury.
and I'd like to say that I support the other oppositions. I also had a concern that Buddy Christopher, who's a former ISD...
No, we're not going there.
Okay.
We just need to hear about the case itself.
That's
the
it. Thank you very much.
Okay?
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Deirdre Manning. I live at number 7 Ledgewood Road. I am in strong opposition to this project based on what I consider are the insurmountable challenges that these variances propose.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Yaroslav Badzar. I'm living across the proposed development.
What's your address again?
6 Marlin Road.
6 Marlin, okay.
Yes, the new information I want to tell to the board is that the developer did not provide any evidence to the claim that he has no intention to blast. The blasting will take place. There is a huge ledge there. 5 years ago, another developer blasted this area for 2 years. I listened to this blasting 2 years each day. Across the corridor, on the corridor south.
Excuse me, sir. So I understand that you're...
There are two
Hold on. So I understand your issue is blasting. Anything else?
Yes, the developer incorrectly provided table D variance size lot. It's 110% more than actual size.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any response?
I believe on the lot size, if you look at on the cover sheet, the proposed, there is a typo on the lot size. It says 14,000, that's the total lot. The proposed lot is 7,660 square feet.
7,650. Okay, thank you. Given that information, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to deny.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I failed to mention there was a project that's being deferred, so I'm going to call it for the record. Calling BOA 939-964-77 Worcester Street. It is being deferred to October 8th, 2009, to an updated refusal letter. So I'm going to make a motion for deferral.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 948-879. I'm sorry?
Now, can I get that thing from Ryan? Ryan has a
Can I go forward?
Sorry.
179 Ruskindale Road. This is new construction of a two-story, two-family dwelling on a current vacant property in Hyde Park. The violations, Article 69, Section 9, lot size to erect a new dwelling is insufficient. Article 69, Section 9, the lot area for additional unit is insufficient. Article 69, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 69, Section 9, height is excessive. Article 69, Section 9, usable open space is insufficient. Article 69, Section 9, the rear yard setback is insufficient. Article 69, Section 9, the required front yard setback is insufficient. And Article 69, Section 29, off-street parking is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Gerard Georges, 78 Blake Street in Hyde Park, Massachusetts.
So, sir, tell us what you're proposing to do.
Sure, I'm here with the owners,
Yeah?
and I'd like to have them register their names if possible.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Latham Nordy, 181 Ruskindale. I'm here with my wife.
Good morning, Chidera Okoye, 181 Ruskindale Road, Hyde Park.
Okay, so you own the adjacent parcel.
Yes.
So tell us what you're proposing to do.
So they've asked me to help with the design and project management of constructing a new two-family house on this existing vacant lot.
Okay.
And the house was designed in the character of the neighborhood and addresses setback as a contextual issue with all the other houses on the neighborhood.
What kind of district is this? Is this a one-family or a two-family?
Two-family, 5,000.
This is a two-family district. And tell us what the proposed unit sizes are of each unit.
So the first unit is 1,650 square feet,
And how many bedrooms?
2 bedrooms.
Okay.
The second unit is 1,568 square feet,
Okay.
and that comprises of 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms? Okay, and then, let's see, looks like you have a number of violations. So, can you, let's see, how are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
May I provide a set of documents that were developed for our neighborhood review meeting that help to describe the process?
Does Mr. Ehrlich have the most recent plans?
He
or
has the
have
most
they
recent
changed?
plans,
The
correct.
ones I have February 16, 2019?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we have supplemental information if you'd like to help
And
describe the project.
Can you please bring that up? In the meantime, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
We have received
Hold on.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Faith Sharif with Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support of this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have also received signed.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition on this project? You can submit that into the record. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve BPDA design review. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Calling BOA,
Just to confirm, this is stick-built, right? Correct. Excellent. Thank you.
calling BOA 672-916-645A, 645 Walk Hill Street. This is to extend living space of the first floor into the basement. No work, no new work. The violations, Article 9, Section 1, extension of a non-conforming use is conditional, and Article 56, Section 8, the floor area ratio is excessive. Name and address for the record, please.
Justin Mott, 645 Walk Hill Street, Suite 1, Boston, Massachusetts, 02126.
So tell us what you're proposing to do.
I am the new owner of the house. There was some work that was done in the basement, and I don't know the appropriate terms to it was just never put on record, so there's no new work. I just want to extend the living space so it can actually be
Okay.
inhabited.
So what's going to be in the basement?
There's a bedroom and like a living area.
And living?
Yes.
And this is a one-family home?
No,
Or is
it's
it
a,
two?
it's a 3-family home.
It's a three-family?
Yes.
And what's the floor-to-ceiling height in the basement?
I do not know that offhand.
Okay. Do the plans indicate that, Mr. Ehrlich?
No, and they're a little confusing. It's not only a bedroom and a bathroom, also a kitchen.
There's no kitchen.
I'm looking at the lower level.
The lower level, yeah, there's no kitchen.
Well, then you got a problem with the drawings because you're showing a kitchen. And you're also not showing any access from the first floor to the basement.
So who's your architect?
These are plans that I adopted actually from the person that I bought the house from.
Well, you might need to get
Yeah,
them.
they're not stamped
You might
either.
need a more clear picture of what's happening, because we only generally approve one kitchen per unit. So you kind of need to show existing conditions, you need to show proposed. So may I have a motion for deferral on this?
I would make a motion to defer.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date?
Yeah, we're into November right now, so November 12th.
Okay.
But let me just say this, when you come back, you better have a better set of drawings than this. Because right now what this looks like is that you're doing a separate unit, and because there's no access from the basement to the first floor, and you got a kitchen, so it looks like a separate unit.
And just also make sure that whatever utilities are in there are not part of the unit, okay?
Okay.
So those are a lot of things to deal with, so it's a good thing you have a November date.
November
Okay.
12th.
So we'll see November 12th at 11:30.
So can you repeat that on the utilities one time?
Can you help him with that? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 941-094, 70 Auckland Street. Is Auckland Street here? Okay. This is a change of use from a 2-family to a 3-family. Proposed dormers, additional living space in the basement for Unit 1, and renovate. The violations, Article 65, Section 8. 3-family dwelling is forbidden use in a 2F 4,000 subdistrict. Article 65, Section 9, the floor area ratio is excessive. Article 65, Section 9, building height is excessive in stories. Article 65, Section 9, the building height is excessive in feet. And and Article 65, Section 9, side yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Stuart Schreier. I'm an attorney with an office at 1005 Dorchester Avenue. With me is Neem Nguyen, who is one of the owners of the property in an LLC.
So tell us what's being proposed.
What's being proposed is we have an existing two-family house, but it's a large two-family. It does already have 3 floors. There's an interior front staircase and an interior back staircase. They're proposing to remove the interior back staircase and put a set of porches that contain stairs on the back of the house and make the 3rd floor into a separate unit.
And convert the 3rd floor into a unit?
Yes, the 3rd floor is currently part of it. The 2nd and 3rd is an enormous unit right now. They're planning on making the 3rd floor into a separate unit.
And tell us about the size, the proposed size of the 3rd floor?
Also, the 1st floor, they're planning on going down into the basement. They have 8 foot of ceiling height. They're planning on 200 square feet in the basement with 1 bedroom and a living area. There's about 200 square feet of the basement that's being finished. The 1st floor unit will be 1,028 feet. The 2nd floor will be 1,033. Sorry, the 1st floor is 1,228 feet. 1,228. The 2nd floor will be 1,033, and the 3rd floor will be 1,033. This involves a couple of dormers. The plans, that hopefully have the correct set of plans. We originally had gone to the neighborhood association asking for a 4-family. Neighborhood association asked us to reduce it to a 3, which my client agreed to do.
This is June 21st, is that the appropriate set, June 21st?
Sorry, yes, it is.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Patrick Fandel, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support of this project proposal. The neighborhood asked that this go down from a 4-unit to a 3-unit proposal, and the applicant was quick to respond to those concerns. They have met a lot of the other concerns, including design and green space in the rear. However, we would ask for continued BPA design review in reference to the screening and buffering in the rear.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Council, Frank Baker's office, we'd like to echo the sentiments in the mayor's office.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office, would like to echo the sentiments of the mayor's office and Councilor Baker and support this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Eileen Boyle. I live at 82 Auckland Street, and I'm also with Columbia Savin Hill Civic Association and have attended all the meetings. I have given 5 pages of petition that was signed. We're not in opposition of the property being converted from a 2 to a 3 with the dormers on the 3rd floor. What we have concerns about is, as the petition states, is that the paving in the backyard. We're in a flood zone, and we have a lot of concerns. We are a 5-minute walk to Savin Hill Station. We are 2 minutes to buses on Dorchester Ave. I know Nim wants to have her son park on the property, which there's an existing side driveway that can probably allot for 3 cars, depending on the size of the car. At the end of the street is Bay Street, which technically is called Bay Street for a reason, before the expressway. We have a neighbor that can actually state factually in her youth that the water came right up, so there's a lot of concern in the neighborhood. When I sit on my back porch, our neighbors have decided we really don't want to be looking at parking lots.
Okay.
We have good lots.
Thank you.
So we'd like the board to consider this.
So your concern is parking?
We don't want any existing, those 4 lots. We would like that removed.
Okay.
From the plans.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, this raises a question. Is this in a flood zone then?
It is not in a flood zone. We have plans to put infiltration in the back.
But I'm more concerned about the living space in the basement, though.
No, we're not in the flood zone. We don't have water in the basement.
Hold on. Let me just have him respond.
Right. The property is not in a flood zone. There has not been a problem with water in the basement. One of the things I want to address in response to that
Thank you.
question.
Can I just make a comment
Yes,
about that?
final.
There is a stream that runs off of Meeting House Hill and Jones Hill, and 2 houses over from this existing house, they constantly get flooding, and my neighbor across the street constantly gets flooding. So we not only have this existing stream that comes through the neighborhood off the hills, that's on the books, we also are close to the water. Okay?
It's a fairly large lot, it's 5,800 square feet. Even if we were to put the parking behind the house, 3 cars, the problem with side parking is you get tandem spots, one person has to pull out and pull in. What they want to do is pull behind the house and make 3 spots for the 3 units, and there'll still be a 40 by 40 foot grass area behind the house.
Okay.
You notice, if you look at the page A1.0 on the plan,
Oh, no, please have a seat. No, we're done. We're done. No. I just need to hear from the applicant with this conversation, okay? Go ahead, Mr. Ehrlich.
we do have a fairly sizable grass area behind the house.
40 by 40.
40 by 40.
Mr. Ehrlich, did I ask you if the plans were adequate?
No, but they are.
Okay, so given this information, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve with BPDA design review with special attention to the issues of water filtration and flooding.
And maximize the removal of the asphalt.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 901-534, 416 to 422 Geneva Avenue. This is a move proviso. Is Geneva Avenue here? Is Geneva Avenue here? This is a remove proviso of 36A. The violation is Article 6, Section 4, change in previous decision by ZBA, other conditional protections. Name and address for the record, please.
I am Cesar Rodita Jimenez, 422 Geneva Ave, El Pilon Restaurant.
So what's the name of the restaurant that he's proposing to have takeout for?
El Pilon Restaurant.
I'm sorry?
El Pilon Restaurant.
And has the applicant had experience with takeout before?
What was that?
Has the applicant had experience with takeout before?
Do you have another restaurant somewhere else? No? Okay.
No? Does it currently have takeout?
Yes.
Yes? How long have you been doing takeout at that spot?
I have maybe 4 months.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
De minimis, but they're fine.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal? Hold on.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the board, Christine Brandeo, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Councilor Frank Baker's office, would like to go on record in support.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
And this is with the usual takeout provisos?
It is indeed.
And does this, Christine, does this building have grates or anything on the front of the building?
There's a door grate.
But does this particular restaurant have grates in front of it?
It's just
Okay.
it's a door grate.
So maybe have design review on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. And can somebody from the mayor's office please help the applicant with the provisos so there's complete clarity on what they mean? Okay? There was a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 975-148, 18 to 26 Bradshaw Street.
Excuse me, Mr. Fortune, I'm going to intend to give you the furrow just to save you from reading everything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moranci. So, all right, I'm going to call it in for the record. BOA 975-148, 18 to 26 Bradshaw Street. Name and address for the record.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is George Moranci. I'm an attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. Madam Chair, members, I had intended to go forward with this matter. I was texted by my client, and he asked me to defer. There's a little bit of explanation involved here. This matter is on the agenda twice today. This was before the board a couple of months ago, and this was the project that had 5 townhouses with 5 garage doors on Bradshaw Street, and everybody was in agreement that there should be a driveway coming off Gleason and have all the garage entrances in the back from the site. Once my client submitted revised plans to the Inspectional Services Department, they determined that because of those changes, the original application should be abandoned, and he should submit a new application, which he did. He received a new refusal letter, which is this hearing. This same matter still appears on the 11:30 rediscussions, and I will withdraw that application once we get to the 11:30s. When notices went out for the present hearing, this was re-advertised there because of that. There have been some late expressions of concern to the mayor's office from abutters, and in light of that, my client would like to defer this matter so that he can have another abutters meeting.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Motion for deferral.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date, please?
11:26, I'm sorry, 11:12.
11:12.
11:12. At 11:30.
Clarification regarding the deferrals. This is the third time that I've attended in opposition to the proposal. How many times does a developer or applicant have?
Something has changed in this. This is a different citation, so he has the right to propose a deferral.
So how many?
So this is a new application because it's changing.
Doing the whole process over?
He will continue the conversation with you. And so hopefully you'll have a meeting of the minds. If not, then, we'll hear it and you'll be informed of the date. Okay? Sorry about that.
Go back to it. Calling your next case, calling BOA 936-768, 60 to 62 Fowler Street. This is a change of occupancy from a 2-family to a 3-family. Existing condition, no work to be done. Violations, Article 60, Section 40. Off-street parking and loading, insufficient parking. Article 60, Section 9, insufficient additional dwelling unit area per unit. And Article 60, Section 9, insufficient open space per unit. Name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Dong Nguyen. I'm the homeowner of 6062 Fowler Street, and I'm here with my husband, Andy.
Are you going to be speaking or not? Okay, you're going to rely on her. Tell us what you're proposing to do.
So when we acquired the property back in October 2018, which is last year, the previous homeowner was using the property as a 3-family, but on record it's only a 2-family, and we would like to legalize it as a 3.
And which is the unit that you want to legalize?
Suppose I think would be the 3rd floor, because right now there's 3 floors on the property, and there's the 2 egress front and back for each floor, so I would assume.
Okay. How are the plans?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Morning, Madam Chairman, members of the board, Christine Brandeo, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record in support. We held in the butters meetings, and they've gone to the Civic, and there is no opposition at this time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dustin Gardner on behalf of City Council President Andrea Campbell's office. We'd also like to go on record in support.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
On the next case, calling BOA 947-520, 121 Brookside Avenue. This is to consolidate parcels for a combined 8,679 square foot. Erect a mixed-use 23-unit building with 2 live-work spaces and 21 residential condominiums. Violations, Article 55, Section 9, a multifamily unit is forbidden use. Article 55, Section 20, the floor area ratio is excessive. Article 50, Section 20, the height is excessive. Article 55, Section 20, the rear yard setback is insufficient. Article 55, Section 40, off-street loading is insufficient. Article 55, Section 40, off-street parking is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Scott Johnson, 840 Summer Street in Boston.
Cheryl Tagayas, 241 A Street, Boston.
And James Green, I'm an attorney at Rubin and Rudman, at 53 State Street, here on behalf of Scott Johnson and 121 Brookside Ave LLC. What I've submitted and the board members have is a sheet of the illustrations of the project. I'd also like to submit a memorandum in support. Also, a copy of the BPDA board vote approving the project in May of 2019, and a letter from the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council indicating its support of the variance request. As shown on the illustrations which were submitted to you, this project is located in the Jamaica Plain section of Boston at 121 Brookside Ave. It is a vacant parcel of land. There is no displacement of industrial use or any business use will be displaced. It's used as a temporary parking lot. My client intends to develop the site for 23 home ownership condominium units, 2 of which will be artist live-work units, and they will be those both will be affordable to artists, and 2 additional units will be affordable.
So are these 2 artist live work spaces units 101 and 102? The 410 square feet and the 455 square foot units?
The artist live space units are 920 square feet and 1,105 square feet.
They're duplex, so they have first floor and then lower floor.
Okay.
So the average is 1,000 square feet. The project will have 11 garage spaces on the first level. It's 4 stories, 45 feet. There'll be a penthouse for the elevator for access to a roof deck, and the roof will also have solar panels in conjunction with the BRA review of a green building. Our goal is a silver LEED certification, all in compliance with the JP Rocks plan, which is a plan but not the zoning for the neighborhood.
So let me just backtrack for a couple minutes.
Sure.
The deck, will that be accessible to all the units?
It will be.
It will be accessible to all units, okay? And can you speak through the violations? I know that's where you were headed, but can you do that?
So the site is located within the local industrial district of Jamaica Plain. The violations are a use violation for multifamily use, but not for the artist live work. An artist live work unit is an allowed use in the local industrial. The other violation is an FAR violation. The underlying zoning is 1. The FAR will be 2.15. The height will be a violation of 45 feet from the as of right 35 feet. There is a rear yard requirement of 15 feet because of a shallow lot, and due to the configuration of the lot, we have a yard of 3 feet and 12 and a half feet, basically. Additionally, even though this is a residential project, they require a loading dock because of the square footage. So we don't have a loading dock, but
So how are people moving in and out of the units supposed to?
they'll be using the street or the side of the building. So like other places in Jamaica Plain, there's very little space for loading docks. Additionally, the parking ratio requires us to provide 31 parking spaces, even though we're within walking distance of the orange line at the Green Street station, and Brookside is parallel to Amory Street, Washington Street, and it's well serviced by transit. So those are the basic zoning violations. There is no minimum lot requirement here. There's no minimum lot width requirement. There's no front yard requirement. There's no side yard requirement. And we do comply with the open space requirement by providing approximately 3,700 square feet of open space when the requirement is 1,100 square feet. When my client started this process, he had originally proposed a 9-unit building, which would have been basically compliant, but would not have provided any affordable housing. When we met with the Brookside Neighborhood Association, their concern was affordable housing and more residential units. We went back to the drawing board after talking to the neighborhood and talking to the BPDA and Cheryl redesigned the building for 23 units. We also addressed the JP Rocks plan, which is not the zoning, but is of major importance to JP and to the residents. we made a commitment to comply with the JP Rocks plan with respect to affordability by increasing the affordability from 13% to approximately 19%.
What does that tangibly result in? What are the number of units?
We have 4 affordable units. We have 2 of which are affordable artist live work units. The other units are, just go into my notes. There are a second floor unit, which is a 1-bedroom unit. That's at 80% AMI. There's a 1-bedroom unit on the 3rd floor, which is at 100% AMI. The artist live work units are both at 80% AMI. And the sales price is set forth in the BRA memorandum in approval and the memorandum I submitted to the board. I can go through those if you like.
So I'm looking at your unit numbers. So these are basically range in sizes from 450 square feet studio loft to 950 square feet 1-bedroom.
2-bedroom.
2-bedroom, I'm sorry, yes. Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
Drawings are nice. I have some questions. What are you saying that in relation to the zoning requirements, what are you saying the roof line is, the height? The height is 45 feet because you've got a lot of action going on above 45 feet to 54 but feet. the penthouse is less than 1/3 of the floor below, so it doesn't count for height. But there's living space. It's not just access to the roof deck. I'll let my architect talk about that.
Yeah,
and is the part of the 4-foot extra, is that the elevator shaft?
So in order to have that roof deck be accessible and have the elevator not open up to the exterior and have the shaft exposed to the elements, there is a vestibule outside the elevator and the stair, but that's purely to provide the enclosed access to the roof deck. So it was reduced in size to that 180 square feet through the discussions with the BPDA as a result of concern that it had been a little bit bigger before.
Okay, well, so, well, yes, and I think it probably could get reduced further, but is the extra 4 feet, is that the part of the elevator shaft? Is that why it's higher? Okay. If I also may point out, Madam Chair, the site is located within a local industrial zone. We're not displacing any industrial user. We're not displacing any business. However,
Who parks in that lot, though?
It's primarily commuter parking, essentially, because we're 0.1 miles to Green Street Station.
Stone's Throw.
But my client intends, what I was trying to point out is my client intends to incorporate in the project documents a statement to all of the intended occupants and all of the intended purchasers, these are condominium units, that this is an industrial area, that there is commercial and industrial use, there's truck traffic, there's odor, there's emissions, there's noise, there's going to be activity in the morning, during the day, and in the evening, which is all lawful and policed by the city. And the acknowledgement will be that they're buying into a space which is an industrial area and that they will not interfere with the uses of industrial users or commercial users in the area.
That's really important.
And that's,
I mean, because there's been enough case law where people move next to a pig farm and then start
correct, and then they object to it.
Exactly.
This is going to be fully disclosed. They'll sign, the documents will say they don't have the right to interfere with that operation.
I have one last question. Did anything change through your BPDA process? In other words, does Mr. Ehrlich have the most recent plans? And did your violations stay the same, or did anything change?
Through the BPDA process, we reduced the size of the head house where the elevator comes out to the roof deck. So that was reduced down to, that was reduced to 180 square feet. We also changed the egress slightly for the artist live workspaces so that they would get more light and air. We added additional bicycle parking, and overall, we reduced both the FAR and the gross square footage slightly between the ISD submission set and the BPDA approved.
Okay.
The chair asked whether I have the most, my drawings are dated November 7, 2018.
I can give to you an April set, which incorporates the BPDA changes, and they are, just as I mentioned, an egress change, a reduction. No other substantial changes.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Enrique Pepin from Office Neighborhood Services. We are here in support of this project. We conducted an abutters meeting on June 17th, in which the abutters were there in full support, other than one of the companies. One of the sprinkling companies was concerned about the industrial zone, but thankfully the developer and the company did listen to the concern, and as you can see, they incorporated it into the contract. And Brookside Neighborhood Association has approved, and the JPNC as well. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Shannon Murphy from City Councilor Matt O'Malley's office. The council would like to go on record in support of this project.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is with the Carpenters Union. On behalf of our Boston residents, I want to go on record in support of this project.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Members of the board, Stephen Greenbaum, 200 High Street in Boston, representing the direct abutter to this project, Carlisle Engineering at 132 Brookside. We are unalterably opposed to this project. In fact, for reasons which Attorney Green so articulately expressed. Carlisle Engineering, a firm which has been in existence since 1946, has been at this location for more than 50 years in an industrial zone, has trucks which run out of its place beginning at 5 in the morning, at 5:30 in the morning. They make a lot of noise. We will be directly abutting a residential condominium, and with all due respect to the applicants, the fact that somebody signs an agreement that they're not going to complain about noise is not going to affect us at all, because this noise is clearly going to affect these residents. They are going to complain. My client's business could very well be put in jeopardy, and we believe that if this project is approved, we'll suffer a real and particular harm as a result of this project going up and residents being directly next to a place where it's an industrial zone, where there will be trucks going in and out. They'll be making a lot of noise. People are going to get woken up early in the morning, and no matter what they've signed, they are not going to like it. I would also respectfully suggest to the board that I can find nothing in the Boston zoning code which indicates that this proposed project constitutes any kind of a hardship which the board should consider when deciding whether or not to approve this project. We feel strongly enough about it that, quite frankly, we're willing to take this to court, because we do believe once this project is established, once this residents are in, the complaints will be coming in, we'll be dealing with the city, and we're in a position where we're literally, and again, with all due respect to Attorney Green, we are going to be displaced no matter what, because the city is simply not going to tolerate this kind of noise directly next to a residential project. For those reasons, we would strongly urge the board to deny this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Given that information, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, can I just, the drawings that I was just handed show a significantly reduced head house that was on the original.
Oh, good, good. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve with BPDA design review. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to go back to a G card that I called earlier this morning, case BOA 639-278, 352 to 374 Massachusetts Avenue. Name and address for the record, please. address for the record, please.
Good morning.
On the record, please.
Mehran Etoufi, and I'm from the...
Can you speak up?
Yes, Mehran Etoufi. I'm from Farmer Source Cafe.
And so this is, okay. Christian?
Close that door.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Christian Simonelli, Boston Railwater Trust, and we do have the BWSC approval letter.
We also have the letter, Madam Chair.
May I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Before I call the next 9:30 case, I'm going to call the 10:30s. Are there any deferrals? This is deferrals or withdrawals only for 10:30. Counselor, address?
9 Atlantic Street.
Excuse me?
9 Atlantic.
For the record, calling BOA 971-595, 9 Atlantic Street. Name and address for the record, please.
John Moran, Alpine Advisory Services, Alpine Way, Boston.
What are you requesting?
A deferral based upon the board membership today.
May I have a
Motion for deferral.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date?
You have a date of November 12th at 11:30.
Also, on the list, 472 East 4th Street.
You got a companion case as well. Calling BOA 913-646, 472 East 4th Street. The companion case, BOA 913-653, 472 East 4th Street. Name and address for the record, please.
John Moran, Alpine Advisory Services, Alpine Way, Boston, Mass. Madam Chair, for the same reason.
Motion for deferral.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date,
We
please?
have a date of 11/12 at 11:30.
Thank you.
Thank you. Address, please?
193-195 Chelsea Street.
For the record, calling BOA 942-611-193 to 195 Chelsea Street. Name and address for the record, please.
Jordan LaFaro, 220 Chelsea Street.
What are you requesting?
Deferral.
Okay. May I have a motion?
Motion for deferral.
Excuse me, for what reason?
The recommendation of my community liaison.
Okay. So I have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date, please?
Date of 11/12 at 11:30. Counselor, address?
425 East 3rd Street. Doug Stefanov, Stefanov Architects.
Hold on a second. For the record, calling BOA 937-269, 425 East 3rd Street. Name and address for the record, please.
Doug Stefanov, 423 West Broadway. Madam Chair, members of the board, I'd like to request a deferral so we can continue working with the neighbors and also improve parking system.
And may I have a motion, please? Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date, please?
November 19th at 11:30.
Thank you.
Mr. Amaranto, your address, please?
411 East 3rd Street.
For the record, calling BOA 975-133, 411 East 3rd Street. Name and address for the record.
My name is George Moranci. I'm the attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. I'd like to request a deferral in order to continue community process.
May I have a
Motion for deferral.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The date, please?
We'll have a date of 11/19 at 11:30.
Thank you. 60 to 70 Temple Place.
Excuse me?
60-70 Temple Place.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing people out in the... Calling BOA 974-123, 60 to 70 Temple Place. Name and address for the record, please.
George Moranci. I'm the attorney with the business address at 350 West Broadway in South Boston, requesting a deferral in this matter as well.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion for deferral. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the reason for this?
Still trying to get...
Continued community process?
Yeah, continued community process.
We have
The date, please?
date of 11/19 at 11:30.
Thank you.
Are there any other deferrals or withdrawals for 10:30? Hearing none, we'll go back to the 9:30. Calling BOA 602-238, 223 Northampton Street. There is a companion case, VOA 602-240-527 Massachusetts Avenue. This is for 223 Northampton Street. This is subdivide existing lot at 527 Mass Ave into 2 lots, erect a new 4-story residential unit building with rear and front decks. The violation is Article 50, Section 29. The required height is excessive in stories. Article 50, Section 29, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 50, Section 29, the height requirement is excessive in feet. Article 50, Section 29, the required front yard setback is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the lot size to erect up to 4 units is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the lot area for additional dwelling units is insufficient. Article 50, Section 43, off-street parking requirement is insufficient.
Okay, can you hold on for a minute? Can somebody go out in the hallway and ask people to keep it down? And if there are any conversations in the room, please take them outside.
This is for 527 Mass Ave, the subdivided existing lot into 2 lots, also as 223 Northampton Street. The violation is Article 50, Section 29, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive, and Article 50, Section 43, off-street parking is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Dennis Corky, attorney at the Jones Corky and Miller, representing the property owner. To my far right, Larry Christofori of Goldwing Realty. To my near right is the project architect, Cindy Larson. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a very interesting subdivision, lot that goes from Massachusetts to Northampton. This presentation, I think, requires some history in your packet.
No, let's
before
just
you.
not start with history because this is a new application.
It is, but
history is well and good, but
it's
let's
extremely
just talk about
important that
this.
this board, predecessor board, granted this relief in 1987. That
Yes.
relief was extended to 1994 when the then property owner moved away and abandoned the permits. My client purchased the property in 2015.
Yep.
He purchased it with that building permit in the file for the property in question, which was a larger development, larger building than that which is proposed today. And I think it's extremely important that the board hear one paragraph from that zoning decision from 1987. The subject parcel is unique in that it is part of a through lot with frontage on Massachusetts Avenue at Chester Square and also with frontage on Northampton Street. And unlike other through lots on Chester Square, it is long enough to contain 2 principal structures. The lot is 172 feet long, with the Northampton Street side of the lot about 85 feet long. Thus, the Northampton Street side of the parcel is as large as many of the larger complete lots to be found in the South End. In fact, the Northampton Street side of the lot is shown as a separate lot on the original Chester Square subdivision plans. It seems that there is ample evidence that historically this portion of this lot can sustain the building of this size, given especially that that decision granted relief for a larger building. If I would love to fast forward, the project began when Mr. Christofori purchased in 2015 and proposed a 5.5-story, 9-unit development on the site. After many meetings with the neighborhood association and neighbors, the project was reduced to where it is today, which is a 4-story, 5-unit building, which is in substantial compliance dimensionally with every other structure on the street. And I'd submit almost every other structure in the neighborhood. I think it's also important that in your packet you read among our letters of support is from the South End Landmark District Commission, basically applauding Mr. Christofori for the beautiful design and the way that the design of the structure fits into the community. We had numerous meetings with...
Let's just backtrack.
Pardon me?
Let's just backtrack and tell us about this current proposal. And tell us, and please respond to the violations that have been cited, because since 1987, the zoning has changed. So these violations need to be addressed, okay?
Many of them, the answer would simply be they're exactly the same as every other building on the street. Every other building on the street would today be out of compliance with FAR, with height, with front setbacks, everything else. The only, I think, difference that we have among these is that the off-street parking.
This is not amplification, just for recording.
I'm sorry?
This is not for amplification for the room. It is just recording testimony.
We're not intending here.
No.
So, sorry, Ms. Bigstaff, can you please speak up?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure the people lined up, the residents lined up have heard your presentation before, but please speak up.
Okay, thank you. I can only suggest that other than the off-street parking insufficiency, which of course is a situation that would face any project, any development on the street, everything else is technical violations, which again would affect every other building were they to be constructed today. We are completely in alignment, as you read in the Landmarks Commission letter of support, completely in alignment with the other properties on the street in every respect.
Okay, so...
It was designed so that it would fit in appropriately to
So,
these.
please tell us, so the building that's proposed is facing Northampton or Mass Ave?
Yes. Northampton.
Yes. It's facing Northampton.
The Massachusetts Avenue building exists. The
Okay.
Northampton side of the lot would be the proposal for this building in front of you. this
So you're
morning.
proposing to subdivide this lot?
Yes, ma'am.
So that puts a violation onto the 527 Mass Ave lot, which is FAR and parking.
Yes.
So how is that parking going to be accommodated if it is eliminated from 527 Mass Ave?
There's no parking on the property now, currently. It's
But
just the yard in the back.
It's just the yard, but the yard is a yard that could accommodate parking, but now it puts this into violation.
No, there's a brick wall from the street, so there's no road access onto the property, no street access.
And there's also an elevation change.
I'm sorry?
There's an elevation change from Northampton to where the grade is currently.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
The drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Members of the board, my operation with the Carpenters Union. On behalf of our posted residents, want to go record support.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Yes.
Representatives of elected officials, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisal Sharif with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record opposed to this proposal. I do understand that the neighbors had quite a few comments and had chances to work with the developers. Our office held a community meeting just trying to gather feedback from the abutters. There were a number of changes that were suggested to the developer. I requested that they do hold another abutters meeting to respond to the feedback given. The developer did not want to proceed that way, and they wanted to take their chances with the board, was the exact quote that was given to our office. We are opposed based on the decks, both the front decks, the rear decks. There's a bunch of decks happening up front and in the rear, which we don't think actually conforms with everything else that's on that street. We're also opposed to the fact that the building seems to not be in alignment with the other buildings that are on Northampton Street and would be a little bit more dense than what's currently there. And
So the issue is the decks, the no alignment, and density?
Density, and then the biggest issue actually is our office is asked to facilitate conversations between the community and the developers, and when we give advice in terms of, hey, you have issues in front of you, we would like for you to work with your neighbors, and your response back to our office is you want to move forward with the design as is. We don't think that that's a good faith effort to work with the neighbors, and you will hear directly from their concerns. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Weldon Bodrick from Councilor Janey's office. Councilor Janey would like to go on the record that she supports Chester Square neighbors opposing this project. Thank you.
So, as I always request, please give us new information, put your name and address on the record, and give us new information, okay?
Very good. My name is Carol Blair. I live at 222 Northampton Street. I am president of Chester Square Neighbors. I have with me 4 neighbors who are prepared to testify on the specifics of what I will tell you first. Chester Square Neighbors have diligently reviewed and responded to plans and revisions by Gullwing Realty, LLC, since 2016. The concerns we raised then still apply for the most part. Gullwing requests 6 variances to subdivide the property at 527 Mass Ave and build more than 6,000 square feet of floor space. They did not indicate a need for a variance for parking, and I note that there is parking immediately adjacent on the next Mass Ave property. I do not see a reason why they could not put parking, although that's not what I would recommend. It's just a matter of straightforward truthfulness facts. The proposed building would be taller, wider, and deeper than its neighbors, approximately twice the square footage. The project would remove 4 mature trees and attempt to meet open space requirements by attaching decks to both front and rear of the building. The historic backyard pattern behind Chester Square would be lost. Gullwing has offered no commitment to much-needed repairs for their existing historic building on the lot. Gullwing has not been able to show benefits to balance the neighborhood's losses. I have a package of the comments, the thread of comments that we have made since 2016. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here. There are others who can show photographs and provide other testimony.
Sir?
Good morning, my name is David Hoff. I'm in a butter at 529 Mass Ave, adjacent to the property. Just a few comments. 527 Mass Ave will lose its second means of egress. Now they go out to Northampton Street. They intend to use an alley which is adjacent to the back of 527 Mass Ave. However, that's not a legal alley. It's only 6 feet wide. It's a private alley. Code requires a 10-foot wide public alley. So the back of 527 Mass Ave will have no second means of egress. Also, as someone else will say, Mass Ave is terribly maintained. If that's an indication of what's going to happen with the new property, then that's going to... the fire escape on the back of 527 is all rusty and probably has not been...
So please just put it to, so I get it. So there's some maintenance issues that need to be addressed on the
Yes.
Mass Ave property.
Yes.
Anything else?
I think the other people will comment
Thank
on
you.
some of the other items.
Thank you. Your name and address, please?
My name is Leslie Barron. I'm a butter from 225 Northampton Street, and we are opposed to this project unalterably. And one of the reasons is the maintenance and the way that the property owner is taking care of his existing property at 527. And I have documents, new photographs here, new information I'd like to submit in support of that point of view.
Thank you.
Morning. My name is James O'Donnell. I live at 222 Northampton Street, and I'm a butter to this particular property, and I am opposed to it because of its size, density, and burden on infrastructure.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for taking the time to hear our comments. My name is Karen Monty Brodek. I live at 531 Mass Avenue, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself, Shahad Safi, my downstairs neighbor, Devitra. I never say her last name. I only say her first name. Who also lives downstairs.
You're representing all the residents at 531?
At 531, yeah, all the owners and
All the
residents.
owners,
We're all
okay.
owner occupants. The property and the investor...
So please don't read to us. Give us bullet points of your concerns and give us new information, please.
Okay. I'd like to provide new information of the photographs for you to see the condition of the building. The investor, the owner of this building, is asking for rights to suspend all of the zoning laws that you have thoughtfully put into place in this property to allow for not, the expansion of a home to take, in the mother-in-law or expand the family, but to essentially, which are things that I think that our neighborhood is actually very sympathetic to, but to build a new property for, essentially a windfall of, between $1 million and $5 million, depending on how it works out.
Tell us about the violations on the property.
Okay, I guess I just want to say that I'm concerned that these kinds of things aren't the benefits of this do not go back to the community of the neighborhood. It doesn't mean that now the schools receive another, a portion of that. And that's the thing that I think is the most difficult for our neighbors, because we look at a neighbor that is not being a good neighbor, not taking care of their property. And I didn't bring the picture of the roof, which is also in terrible condition.
I think it's in this package here.
Okay.
Thank you.
The last thing I wanted to mention is that I'm very interested in the fact that so many neighbors are in the Chester Square Neighborhood Association and came out today and spoke in opposition. And I think many of us actually were trying to be positive at the beginning of this process, but at the end of it, it hasn't gone in a way that is possible for the community to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Response, Mr. Quilty?
First of all, excuse me, I'd like to respond with regard to our process. We've been in community review since 2015, 4 years. Changes that were made as a result of meetings with the community. For example, there are no front decks proposed on this building. That was removed as a result of community input. We did a shadow study as a result of community input. We reduced the building in height and in units as a result of community input. We had 2 full meetings with the Chester Square Neighborhood Association. When we sought permission to come back for a 3rd meeting, we were basically told, don't waste our time. At some point, there's no need for further, it seems to me, abutter or neighborhood meetings if people don't want to discuss the project. That is why we asked the mayor's office to give us a date after 4 years of dealing with this. Another abutters meeting simply have raised the exact same issues that we heard all the way through, and no consideration was ever given for the reductions and the changes that were made to benefit the neighbors. I leave it to Mr. Christofori to respond to the allegations about 527. It seems as though much of what we've heard today.
For me, maintenance is a different thing.
There are answers to it if you care to hear them.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Again, we feel as though we have complied as greatly as possible to be able to build a reasonably sized structure on this lot. And as you've heard from the previous decision, this lot is different than many of the others. It is different, and we think that is why this lot should be the beneficiary of zoning relief, because it will simply place in this vacant lot a structure in conformity in large part with the rest of the residential dwellings on the street. And as you can see from the landmarks letter, a glowing letter of support for what he's done, for the design, for the changes he made, et cetera. That, I hope, gets some deliberation in front of this board.
Yeah, and Ms. Quilty, the reason that 527, I trust that the developer will be a good neighbor and get that building updated. But it feels like
I can respond right now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
We've submitted that the building on 527 for me is a historic building. Not proud of the condition it's in. We don't like it. We have completely gutted and redone the inside in a historic fashion.
Okay.
The outside we've submitted to get the tax credits for historic renovation. That process is ongoing. We have received some of the tax credit relief. We've resubmitted as you do. So there is no doubt that building would be redone. And if we had the opportunity to do the other building, you move the same crews at the same time.
Cool. Thank you.
And the roof was done this just before the winter at the top. The front that you see on the pictures is the part that would be subject to the historic reviews. Right now, it would be it's asphalt shingles, and I'm sure that the historic review would like the slate put back on. So we didn't touch the front, but the roof, the top was redone.
So, given all this information, may I have a motion, please?
I want to make a motion to oppose.
Madam Chair, BPDA did have a recommendation on this, which was deferral.
Yes, we know that. It doesn't mean it. Usually deferrals.
The one issue that I would just highlight out of all that, because some of it may have changed, and since the BPDA made its recommendation, but do want to have a conversation about flood resiliency.
So, hold on, right there. There's a motion on the table. May I have a second?
I'm going to second that motion.
All those in favor? All those in favor?
Without prejudice, possible?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we can see this within a year, but with a different plan, okay?
Calling the next case.
Plan, not exactly the same. okay?
Calling BOA 948-370, 768 to 772 Tremont Street. This is to add two-story vertical addition to an existing building and change occupancy from dental offices, 2 apartments, restaurant with 37 and 36A, to dental offices, 6 apartments, restaurant 37 and 36A, interior renovations, install new elevator. Violations, Article 32, Section 32-4, this is in the G card. Article 64, Section 9, usable open space is insufficient. Article 64, Section 36, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 64, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. And Article 64, Section 9, rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Bruce Moraines. I'm an attorney with business address at 350 West Broadway in South Boston. Madam Chair, I represent Dr. Hussam Al-Khatib, the owner of the property. Dr. Khatib has maintained his dental practice at the site for many years. To the right of his dental practice, and the photograph is submitted to the board, is a small pizza takeout restaurant. Dr. Khatib has 2 dwelling units located above his office. What the doctor is proposing is to erect what would be a completion of the second story of the building, and then a third story at top deck. It would change the occupancy of the building from a dental office and the restaurant with 2 dwelling units to the dental office and the restaurant with 6 units.
Mr. Morency, as I usually ask, what is the breakdown of those residential units?
Yes, exactly. So the current units, there are 2 units, they're 1-bedroom units of approximately 700, I think not quite 700 square feet. The proposed 6 units would be 2 units per floor on floors 2, 3, and 4. On each floor, there would be a unit of 1,424 square feet and a unit of 1,518 square feet. Each of those would be 2-bedroom units. With respect to the zoning relief, the first item cited is groundwater, and I believe that Mr. Simonelli is prepared to speak on groundwater if we want to take his testimony first.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and I have the BWSC approval letter.
Thank you.
Christian, we may not have that letter. We're going to check, see if we have it.
Okay, go ahead.
That you probably don't, Mr. Fortune. I got it late yesterday, and I emailed it to Christian. Other violations, insufficient usable open space. The building essentially occupies the entirety of the lot. There's no open space now. It's a vertical addition. My client did not want to put a roof deck or roof decks, so the open space situation is not changing. This is also a site where you cannot introduce off-street parking. There's no parking now. There will be no parking. The site is located approximately 2 blocks from Massachusetts Avenue Station on the orange line. My client is also committed to subsidizing Charlie cards for both the residents and his employees at the site. There's a citation on excessive floor area ratio. This is an MFR district in Article 64, the south end. Maximum FAR is 2. This is an FAR of 3.9, but it is not inconsistent with other buildings in the area. And there's a rear yard insufficiency cited. Again, the building is already has a 0 rear lot setback, and this would be a vertical addition filling in the second story and adding the third story. So there would be no change on ground level to the rear yard setback, which is non-existent.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in support of this? How are the plans, Mr. Oler?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisa Sharif with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Again, for this one, we also held a community process, and they have met with the Chester Square Neighborhood Association. They do have support from their butters, and we do appreciate their willingness to work with their neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? Carol, you're on a roll here, huh?
Support.
Oh, support. Excellent. Okay, put your name and address on the record.
My name is Carol Blair. I live at 222 Northampton Street, and I'm the president of Chester Neighbors. The owner, Dr. Al-Khatib, has provided dentistry services in our neighborhood for many years. His proposal would expand the building at 770 Tremont Street to 14,840 square feet on 4 floors. Dr. Khatib has heard neighbors' concerns and has agreed to work with South End Pizza to address double parking and speeding, to create trash room in the building in order to keep the alley clear for egress, to subsidize MBTA passes for tenants, and to conform to groundwater conservation requirements by building a reservoir under the building, and also to return to Chester Square Neighbors with design and construction plans. Therefore, we support Dr. Khatib's proposal.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Do we need
Two motions, one on GCOD and the other with design review.
Okay,
South End Landmarks.
so this is a motion for approval.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
And for the record, three-story vertical addition as well.
Yes, we got it in the plans.
Thank you.
Calling the last case for 9:30, calling BOA 936-221, 37 West Newton Street. This is a new roof deck on the rear elevation, replacing an existing window with door on the new rear deck. Violations Article 64, Section 9. The rear yard is insufficient. Article 64, Section 34, roof structure restrictions, and Article 64, Section 9.4, townhouse row house extension. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Greg Canarian, my wife Julina Canarian, 37 West Newton Street in South End. We're proposing to build a roof deck, or a rear deck, behind our second floor window, second floor bedroom.
Okay, so tell us about that rear deck.
It's going to be 12.5 feet by 8.5 feet, and it's going to overlook the community garden behind us.
And how is it going to be supported?
It's going to be supported with, I think it's going to be steel, but the architect's going to work with the structural engineer to figure out if we put steel into the building or we just attach it more likely just to the existing roof below us.
Okay. And tell us about the roof deck.
The roof deck's going to be used, we're going to use composite material and have, I think we have to go through landmarks and have, the typical railings that are of historic nature. Both our neighbors to the left and right have roof decks, and so we'll be consistent with the neighbors.
Drawings are fine.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisal Sharif with Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support of this proposal by the owners. It is owner occupied. It's a modest proposal. It does have the support of both their neighbors and also the Civic Association in that area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? Mr. Oliver? In the south end with these decks, isn't it 6 feet that we mostly approve? 6 feet bracket supported?
Yeah. It's showing the...
It's showing, is it showing 8 feet as presented by the applicant?
8'6", yeah.
You said 12'6", right? Is that what you said?
It's 12.5 feet by 8.5 feet?
12 by 8, so we just generally support 6 feet. Okay?
It's 12.5 feet by 8.5 feet.
Yeah, so it's 6 feet. It's of 8 feet.
Clarification, with the way that their building is set up, I believe this is a roof deck off of the L. It's not a rear deck.
It's not a regular rear deck.
Yeah.
Okay. So may I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good
Thank
luck.
you very much.
Keep going? Okay. Calling the first case for 10:30, calling BOA 957-388, 167 to 167A I Street. This is a confirmed occupancy as a single family with barber shop and change occupancy to a 3-family dwelling with renovation including new rear egress decks. The violation is Article 68, Section 33, off-street parking requirement for the new units. Article 68, Section 8, usable open space is insufficient. And Article 27S, Section 5, this is in the South Boston iPod. Name and address for the record, please.
Kathy Hanley, 167 I Street, owner.
Can you please speak up? Or whoever's speaking, speak up because I'm having a hard time hearing today.
Sure thing. Kathy Hanley, 167 I Street. Is that better? Thank you.
Tell us what's being proposed.
In
This is Mariana Monfeld, an architect advising me on the zoning issues.
Okay.
167 I Street is a three-story row house located mid-block between 7th Street and Borough Place. ISD has no record of occupancy for the building, and assessing has it as a multi-use property, commercial and residential.
So are you paying taxes? What are you paying taxes as?
Commercial residential.
Commercial residential, and even though it's a one-family?
There's a one-family, the two upper floors are residential.
Okay, and how large is each unit?
600 square feet.
Each unit is 600 square feet. Have you been paying utilities on the 3 units?
It's currently 2 units. The 2 upper floors are one family. I suspect the barber lived upstairs and had a shop on the first floor.
Okay, and so has utilities been paid as
Yes.
on 2 units?
Yep.
Okay. How are the plans?
Drawings are okay.
And there's, are there proposed decks?
Yes, rear egress decks.
Rear egress decks?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
I have a list
Hold
of
on.
folks.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record in support and also want to point out the fact that they said they would put sprinklers in due to the fact that it's a row house, and I checked with ISD and they said 3 or more units should be sprinklered.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office, would like to go on record in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, Resident Council Lodge, Michael Flaherty. Due to the communal process that went into drafting Article 68, the council is unable to support the project at this particular time, but we'll leave it to the board's discretion.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Can we have that for design review to focus on the rear decks, please?
Okay.
And that's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 955-258-383 K Street. This is to remove the existing roof, build a new mansard roof, no change in height, no change in floor area ratio. Current 3rd floor has 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 3 frame floors. For a new 4-inch concrete slab in the basement. The basement is used as storage and mechanical. The violations, Article 68, Section 8, side yard setback is insufficient. Article 27S, Section 5, this is in the South Boston iPod. And Article 68, Section 29, roof structure restriction. Name and address for the record, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Daniel McDevitt, 2 Granite Avenue in Milton, and with me is Brendan McLaughlin, the contractor and general contractor on the job.
So tell us what's being proposed.
So this is a house on the corner of K Street and Marine Road, and it's a change in the style of the roof from apex to mansard. The first violation is the side yard. This is a corner house built about 150 years ago, and I've attached the plot plan as the last page to our exhibit.
Excuse me, so this violation is triggered by the roof. So please speak to the roof structure.
Okay, so the roof is going to change from a pitched roof, or otherwise known as an apex roof, to a mansard roof. So if you look at the second sheet, you can see the difference between existing and proposed. And it doesn't create any additional floor area. It does not create any height violation. The only violation is as the roof goes up to a mansard, it gets closer to the lot line, which is the street. We don't have 3 feet along Marine Road because the house was constructed before the zoning code.
And so is this a single family or a 2-family?
It's a 2-family home.
It's a 2-family home, and this would be providing extra space for the top unit?
It's a quality of life issue. Right now, the ceilings are closing in on you, and it would pop them up so that it would be more space, but it does not affect the floor area ratio in any way.
How are the plans, Mr.
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Dillon, Mayor's Office Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support and just ask that they continue to work with the abutters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office. We're going into, sorry. We're in support of this project, thank you. The abutter supported, so the direct abutter, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Thomas Walsh, 381 K Street, the direct abutter, and I support today's plans.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, members of Council Michael Flaherty. Due to the communal officer went into drafting Article 68, the council is unable to go on record in support, but will leave it to the board's discretion.
We're getting faster at this. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve. Do you think we need design review for the roof? No?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve with design review.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 945-050, 17 Mercer Street. This is a confirmed occupancy as a three-family. Erect a new three-story deck. In violation of Article 68, Section 8, rear yard setback is insufficient to erect a new deck. Article 27S, Section 5, this is in the South Boston iPod. Name and address for the record, please.
Attorney Arthur Goldberg, 83 State Street, Boston, Mass. We have with me the owner of the project, Dave Broderick, and an architect from the firm, Dave Rader.
Okay, so tell us about those rear decks.
Okay, the rear decks are really, we would describe them as a fire balcony. Basically, that is the main issue. The current building setback requirement is 20 feet. The existing building foundation is located 19 feet 6 inches, approaches 6 inches into the setback. We'd like the fire balcony to extend another 10 feet 8.5 inches. You should note they're L-shaped in configuration. And if we tried to narrow them, it's like kind of like a balloon. You squeeze one end.
So what, ultimately, when these decks would be built, proposed to be built, what would be the rear yard? What would be the rear
The
yard?
rear yard would be left would be approximately 10 feet.
Would be 10 feet?
9 to 10 feet.
And what's the rear yard now?
19 feet 6.
And what does the zoning require?
The building code requires 20 feet is the setback requirement.
And are these decks supposed to function as a second means of egress?
They will act as that and help with firefighting.
Is there a second means of egress currently in the building?
The building is basically a substantial rehab. There's no back to the building right now. But if we didn't have the decks, the rear mean of egress would wind up being the window.
Okay. And this is proposed as you're also asking a confirmation as a three-family.
My understanding is the occupancy committee has already determined that.
Okay. And what are the sizes of each unit?
So the proposed sizes of the units would be, on the top floor, would be approximately 850 square feet. The second floor rather, would be approximately 900 square feet. And the first floor and basement combined would be approximately 1,700 square feet.
1,700 square feet?
Right.
And I'm assuming the floor-to-ceiling height in the basement and everything is taken care of?
That's correct.
How are the plans, Mr. Owen?
Well, the plans are a little confusing. Maybe you can, I'm looking at A21 and A22, which are elevations, and one of them shows the decks and the other doesn't, but they're the same elevations.
I have to have the architect speak to that.
Okay, and then my second question is, how do the upper units get access to the utilities?
Through the common egress door from the backyard will come into the house. There'll be access to the common utility from there.
From the outside? There's no interior access?
No, because the basement and the first floor is going to be accessed one unit, so the utilities will be accessed through the outside. Like
Right, no, that's what I was asking, the upper units. I understand the debate.
Yep. So,
Okay.
So the electrical panels will be each unit will act as like condos.
So this is an existing condition?
It's a
an
duct
existing
rehab.
condition.
No, I would say no. The building is in substantial disrepair right now.
You're supposed to, as the architect sure knows, you're supposed to be able to access internally from the upper units.
Can you?
Internally to the utilities?
And you can't, as far as I can tell from the plan. You have to go, as the gentleman said, from outside.
In the meantime, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal? Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in opposition. All the direct abutters have expressed that this has never been a three-family. It's not consistent with the neighborhood, and not one direct abutter is in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in opposition to this project due to the overwhelming neighborhood opposition at the abutters meetings regarding concerns about density and impacts to parking. As neighbors noted, this has been a single family, not a three-family. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Asabi George's office. I'd like to go on record of opposition to this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, OS Council Michael Flaherty, echoing the sentiments of Councilor Flynn's office, and due to the Article 68 violations, the council would go on record in opposition.
Hello, my name is Michael Noonan, 52 Telegraph Street, South Boston. I'm in a butter, and I have a sheet saying all the neighbors protesting to it because he wants to take a 4-bedroom and make it a 10-bedroom house, and there's no parking at all.
Can you please submit that into
Yes.
the record? Thank you.
Thank you.
Based on that information, may I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to oppose.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All the motion carries.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 896-890, 142 to 144 Old Colony Avenue. This is to demolish an existing building, erect a new 6-story mixed-use building, commercial space, and 20 residential units with 17 parking spaces, front and rear roof decks. Violations, 25 flood hazard districts. This is in the flood hazard district. Article 8, Section 7, a multifamily residential is a conditional use. Article 50, Section 1, the flood area ratio is excessive. Article 16, Section 1, required height is excessive in stories. Article 16, Section 1, the required height is excessive in feet. Article 17, Section 1, the usable open space is insufficient. Article 18, Section 1, the required front yard is insufficient. Article 23, Section 1, off-street parking requirement is insufficient. Article 23, Section 9, the off-street parking design, access drive maneuverability. And Article 24, Section 1, off-street loading is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Patrick Mahoney with the business address of 160 Federal Street. With me is the developer, my client, Adam Burns.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Adam Burns, business address 599 Broadway in South Boston.
Council, were you cited for side yard and rear yard, or was that taken out?
It was taken out, so there's no side yard requirement for the first 70 feet, which is in excess of this law. And
Thank you.
Rear yard is a throughway.
Stop right there. Tell us what's being proposed, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we have proposed as a 19 residential unit rental building with a parking in the rear, access on 9th Street, and a small commercial space on the first floor, just over 1,000 square feet. And a couple of things worth noting on this project, as you'll see by the unit sizes, that the unit configuration is, there is 19 residential dwelling units consisting of 18 one-bedrooms and 1 studio. All of the one-bedrooms are just below the standard metro unit sizes.
They're all below?
They are, yes.
Why?
As a result of that, the second floor, when any of the units fall below the standard metro unit sizes, 15 square feet per unit in the building shall make up the common space. So the BRA, working with the BRA through small project review, the second floor is 700 square feet of common space open to all of the 19 units. Additionally, there is some of the changes that went through the process, there was a common roof deck, there is not now, and there's no roof deck on the top floor at all.
Tell us about that garage door.
The
It looks like an extremely long garage door.
It is, yeah. The park is, it's a semi-automated parking system access from the rear on 9th Street. There is a larger curb cut there. However, there was a curb cut in the front on Old Colony that is going to be returned to the street. So the net difference is about 10 feet total between what would be normally approved as a traditional curb cut, with the reduction of the curb cut being returned for a contiguous sidewalk on Old Colony.
So tell us where this common space is. It's on the second floor?
It is. It's the second floor above the commercial space. The drawing that I would direct you to would be A03, the second floor plan. Is a common meeting and library hall. It's noted on the plan. It's about 700 square feet. It is a small kitchenette, and it's going to be a room used for all the residents as an amenity space.
So we're going back to Murphy beds, huh?
In that one studio unit, there is a Murphy bed on the plan, yes.
How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
Drawing's okay.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support of this project due to the positive dialogue between the neighbors and support has came from the Angel Square Civic Association. The project is now 19 units and 14 parking spots. They reduced the height by coming down a story to 5 and maintaining the 3 affordable house units. They removed the roof deck and decreased the curb cut. We support the project as they took the concerns of the neighbors and civic groups seriously and work with them on quality of life issues. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, Board Paul Sullivan, on behalf of the Council Advocate Michael Flaherty, echoing the sentiments of Councilor Flynn's office, the Council to go on record in support.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi Georgie's office, would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is to the carbon proceeding on behalf of our Boston residents. Want to go on record in support.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, just a note for the record that units 2 and 5 are 407 square feet.
We have someone speaking in opposition.
If you're speaking in opposition, you've been here, please move up to the podium and put your name and address on the record and tell us what your opposition is based on.
Name and address?
My name is Joe Foster. I live at 135 West 9th Street, about 150 feet away from the proposed building.
So tell us what your opposition is based on.
My opposition is against the height.
Okay? It's, okay, thank you.
Can I, it seems odd that you would have 2 units that are under what is the expected minimum of city policy. Just curious as to what the rationale is.
Yes, and Mr. Ehrlich, if any, there are actually a couple of units under the standard metro unit sizes, and as a result of that, the BPDA, as a way to address some of these, if you are below the standard metro unit sizes, that's permissible. However, you have to provide an open common space for this, and that's been on the second floor. The amount suggested by the BPDA is 15 square feet per unit, and we're in excess of that at 700 square feet.
Okay, so I mean, that's part of the compact living.
Yes, it is.
Understand. So from Brian, from your perspective, the BPA, they have respected that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's gone for small project review. May I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with BPDA design review.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 959-284, 505 East Broadway. This is a change of occupancy from a single-family to a three-family proposed third-story addition with dormer, rear deck, roof deck, and exterior egress stairway. Violations, Article 27S, Section 5, this is in the South Boston iPod, and Article 68, Section 29, roof structure restrictions. Name and address for the record, please.
For the record, Lawrence Estacara, 10 Post Office Square. With me is Chris Ayakwa, the developer, and Zeke Brown, who is our architect. We have some handouts for the board that will amplify our discussion. Also, we'll distribute to you a letter from a direct abutter and signatures from direct abutters and others in the immediate area, all in favor of this proposal. This is a very large, very old building. We think it dates back to 1835. There were no building permits back then, so the records are sketchy. One of the neighbors recalled there actually was a second turret before a fire. Another confirmed that, in fact, this building may have been subdivided from a neighbor, but it was a three-family home as recently as 1954, and a three-family home is a permitted use in this district. Around that time, a family named Georgian purchased it, and it became a single family with lodgers in the rooms above.
So, Counselor, so this is a through lot, right?
Yes,
Or it goes from East Broadway to Silver Street?
Correct.
Tell us about the proposed sizes of the units
Yes,
and the number of bedrooms?
Right, the two units are 1,975 feet. Another is 2,200 square feet. Each of them has 3 bedrooms. Each of them has 3.5 baths, and each has a deeded parking space to the rear.
And this is the proposed three-family dwelling?
Correct.
What's the unit of the size of the third unit? Sorry.
2265.
I have 1970, 2200.
No, it's 1975, 1975, 2262.
And 2262 is which unit?
The
top
third unit.
The third unit? Okay. So tell us about the parking. There's one parking space per dwelling unit
Correct.
in the rear.
Accessible to the rear with a curb cut out onto Silver Street.
And tell us about the fourth floor deck, the roof
Zeke,
deck.
you want to explain exactly how it works?
Zeke Brown, Brown Fenolosa Architects, Arlington, Mass. The deck is on the third level, the roof of the third level. It is accessed by the fourth-story tower, which already exists. We want to take a window out and put a door to that roof deck. It's 425 square feet and will be about 4.5 feet off of the side yard directly next to it.
And who is it accessible to?
Just the third floor unit.
Just the third floor unit? And are there any other decks proposed?
There are 2 balconies off of the master bedrooms, one on the third floor and one on the second floor. Juliet balconies.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Owen?
Plans are fine.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in support and just note that they continue working with the Silver Street residents just because they're how they access all the construction and trash. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Karen Foley, Councilor Wasabi George's office, would like to go on record in support of this project. And the abutters are asking for a scheduled construction and sort of stick to it, and also they're concerned with the trash. Those are the 2 concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Canty, 503 East Broadway. 503 abuts 505. I've met with Mr. Aqua on 4 occasions to review his plans, and as those plans were shown to us, I offer my support for his redevelopment.
Thank you.
Hello, this is
Stella Balmaceda. I live at 503 East Broadway, right next to 505 East Broadway. I am in support of this project.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in opposition due to the concerns at the abutters meetings and the opposition from the Gate of Heaven Neighborhood Association regarding density, impacts on parking, and concerns about trash removal on Silver Street. Thank you.
I'm going to call 11:30.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, I was going to Michael Flaherty. Due to the communal efforts that went into drafting Article 68, the council is unable to support this project at this time, but will leave it to the discretion of the board.
May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve with BPDA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Before I call the next 10:30, I'm going to call 11:30s. Are there any deferrals or withdrawals for 11:30? Counselor, address?
6th LaGrange Place.
For the record, calling BOA 885-367 6 LaGrange Place. Name and address for the record, please. Name and address for the record.
Sorry about that. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Matt Eckel from Drago and Toscano with the business address of 15 Broad Street here in Boston. I'm here seeking a deferral this morning to continue some community efforts. We've met multiple times with the butters as well as the local community groups. We did hear back just at the end of last week from the community group about some further input from the community, and therefore we'd like some time to implement that into our plan. So we're actually...
Is this your first deferral? This is your second deferral?
This is our second deferral, correct.
Okay, so please be realistic about when you get next on our agenda.
Certainly, and with that in mind, I'd request maybe early December, if possible,
Okay.
to give us adequate time.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion for a deferral.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The date?
You have a date of December 3rd at 11:30.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other deferrals or withdrawals? Madam Chair, we do have the case BOA 893-315, 18 to 26 Bradshaw Street is withdrawing. I'll make a motion for denial without prejudice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now we'll go back to the 10:30s. Calling the next two cases, calling BOA 962-539, 559 East 5th Street. There is a companion case, BOA 962-542, 559 Rear East 5th Street. This is Building 1, it's a full gut renovation to an existing three-family dwelling, extend living space to the basement, construct a new rear exterior stairway, and new roof deck. The violation is Article 27S, Section 5. This is in the South Boston iPod. Article 28, Section 29. This is roof structure restriction. This is for 559 Rear East 5th. This is Building 2, a full gut renovation to an existing three-family dwelling, extend living space to the basement. The violation is Article 27S, Section 5 in the South Boston iPod. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. John Fulgini, 10 Forbes Road, Braintree. With me is Greg McCarthy, who's the owner, developer of these units.
So these are existing two buildings on the same lot?
That is correct. So basically, Madam Chair, it's just a gut rehab of both buildings. One of the buildings in the front, just adding a roof deck and some rear decks, and expending the living space into the basement, but that living space is going to be contiguous to the first floor unit.
And the second building?
Just got rehab and extend living space into the basement.
So tell us about extension into the basement. Tell us on,
Yeah, so we're capturing about 400 to 500 square feet of the basement space
okay,
in each building.
tell us floor to ceiling height, and if utilities are accessible by all units without stepping into the living space in the basement.
I think it's about 8 feet 6 inches in the basement.
Both buildings?
Yes.
Okay.
Mechanical is accessible through Unit 1.
Through Unit 1? Gotta change that.
Okay.
Tell us about the roof and the rear decks.
So the roof deck is on the back of the front building. There's no decks on the back buildings. The back decks are pretty small. I think they're about 4 by
6 by 10. And then and then a lot of that space is just the rear egress staircase.
And the roof deck, accessible by all units or just by the top unit?
The top unit.
Top unit.
But that's accessible from those back staircases.
It went through a lengthy community process. We have received the support of Gated Heaven Civic as well.
How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
Well, you already picked out the issue with the drawings in terms of access to the utilities. Other than that, they're okay.
Any other questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flynn's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, members of the Council, Michael Flaherty. Due to the community articles that went into drafting Article 68, the Council is unable to support the project at this time, but leave it to the deference of the board.
Thank you. So may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve with design review with specific proviso to address the issue of access to the utility rooms from the upper unit.
Second.
So is that no building code relief?
No building code relief.
Okay. So
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with those two provisos.
Calling BOA 956-428-677 rear East 2nd. This is extend living space in the basement, extend existing first floor porch to second floor, add roof deck, and create 2 bi-level units. The violation, Article 27S, Section 5, this is in the South Boston iPod. Article 68, Section 8, side yard is insufficient, and Article 68, Section 8, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is John Barry from the law offices of John D. Barry, located at 400 Granite Ave in Milton, Massachusetts. And with me to my right is the architect on this project, Nicholas Landry from Design Resource Team, located at 546 East Broadway in South Boston.
So tell us about the extension of the living space into the basement.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Can you tell us about the extension of the living space into the basement?
The current existing house at 677R was originally a first, second, and third floor building. It was a single family. The proposal is to turn that into a 2 bi-level units. Unit 1 would consist of a 2-bedroom and 2.5 bath located in the basement and on the first floor. And unit number 2 would be a 2-bedroom and a 2.5 bath located on the second and third floor.
So this changes things. So there are 2 buildings on the same lot? Is there another building on this lot if this is a rear address?
This is the only building on the lot
So why does it have an R address?
because there's a separate lot that is located at 675.
So is this the equivalent of a flag lot or a pork chop lot?
I'm not aware of that.
It looks like a pork chop, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
It
It's
is.
got direct access to the street.
And so when was the lot subdivided?
A long time ago. I want to say in the 60s before the homeowner bought it.
Okay, so then, so tell us about the sizes of the units, the proposed units.
Both units are going to be approximately 800 square feet. There's no change in the existing footprint of the current structure that is there.
Tell us about the floor-to-ceiling height in the basement.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Tell us about the floor-to-ceiling height in the basement.
So currently it's at about 7 feet, so we are going to be digging it out. And there's also, it's a half walkout now.
And tell us about that roof deck.
Currently there is no roof deck, so we'll be adding a roof deck. So the second floor unit will have a rear deck and a roof deck.
Okay. Mr. Ehrlich, how are the plans?
The drawings are okay.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
And Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flynn's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan. On behalf of City Council, I ask Michael Flaherty, due to Article 68, the council is unable to support, but would defer to the board.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve with BPDA. Do we need review on this? BPA design review.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 967-128, 526 East 3rd Street. This is 2 ancillary off-street parking for resident owner of 5 Emmett Street and 530 East 3rd Street. The violations, Article 68, Section 7, off-street parking ancillary is conditional. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Megan Donnelly, 530 East 3rd Street.
Tell us what you're proposing to do.
We are proposing to add a curb cut to 526 East 3rd Street. So we currently share that space with our family, and we park 4 vehicles. So we're asking to have a curb cut so that we no longer have to move the cars back and forth. So it will no longer be tandem, and instead we can just drive out of the parking spot.
Are you proposing to combine these lots?
No, it's just one lot, 526.
So the building that you're proposing the parking is 526?
That's correct.
And where are the residences on there at 5 Emmett and 530?
530 East 3rd Street and 5 Emmett Street.
Okay, and so they're all in the same ownership?
That's correct. The houses are not in the same ownership. It's the same family. So it's our uncle that lives at 5 Emmett, and we live at 530 East 3rd Street, and we share the parking with them.
Okay, see, the issue is that this relief goes with the land and not with anything else. So we really have to think through if 4 parking spaces and a wide curb cut makes sense for East 3rd Street.
Yeah, so the additional curb cut would actually be added to Emmett Street, which is a one-way street so we wouldn't be removing any parking from Emmett.
How wide would that curb cut be?
On Emmett Street, 16 feet.
16 feet? Brian, can you please share the BRA's recommendation with the applicant?
Yeah, BPDA board recommended approval with a design review proviso.
This is 526? No, it's denial.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
page
looking at the
37.
wrong- Yep, thank you.
Page 37.
That was with the wrong address.
Can you see, I'm looking at the plot plan, I'm a little confused. There's existing parking, which is 2 spaces right on 3rd Street.
Yep.
What are you proposing to do with those spaces?
So right now we park tandem, the vehicles. So we're just proposing that rather than having to park tandem, we can drive out a separate way rather than having to.
No, I understand. So, I mean, the coming off of Emmett Street makes sense. What's going to happen to the 3rd Street access?
They stay exactly the same. So that way we don't have to move the cars to get out. So right now the only way to get out is on 3rd Street.
So the existing 2 spaces that are on 3rd Street would remain, so you have 4 spaces altogether?
That's correct. You can fit 4 cars in there, tandem right now, so we're just asking to add an additional way to drive out.
I think that, the problem is, and I don't know, Madam Chair, if you can see it, but the existing ones are essentially front yard parking.
Yep. Yes, I did see a...
If the other ones, the ones on Evans Street, were replacing the 3rd Street one and you closed off that curb cut, that'd be much better.
Yeah, and so we would look for screening and buffering, fencing, et cetera.
Yeah, but then all you're doing is swapping 2 spaces for 2 spaces, but it's still a better solution.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
Yes, I have. Bob D'Amico of Boston Transportation Department. From a planning perspective, it does work, but the ones in the front have been there for quite a while. This is obviously a new parking request, but the ones that are there have been there. So I think they're sort of, I would think, grandfathered in. So it's strictly more or less a zoning issue rather than a BTD issue, because it does work from a BTD planning perspective.
Okay, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office, Neighborhood Services, would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support as we have heard no concerns coming from the abutters in the area. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan. On behalf of the council, I ask Michael Flaherty, just due to Article 68, the council is unable to support, but would defer to the board.
Okay, so may I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve.
Let's think this through. We want to make a motion for approval,
I would.
correct,
can I-
with design review?
Yes, please, can that motion include design review? Because I think there's an opportunity to clean something up.
And this is to add screening and buffering at 3rd Street. Okay?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling the next two cases, calling BOA 947-4664 Ringo Street. Case BOA 947-4684 Ringo Street on building code. This is a renovate the top floor of the house with the roof deck, in violations Article 64, Section 34, roof structure restriction. And this is for the building code. This is Section Building Code Refusal, MSB, Chapter 10, Section 1011.12, stairway to roof. In buildings 4 or more stories, access to an occupied roof shall be provided through a penthouse. Name and address for the record, please.
Patrick Mahoney, Attorney Patrick Mahoney, with the business address at 160 Federal Street, representing David Crowley, the owner of 4 Ringo Street.
So, as we usually do, can you address the building code relief, please?
The building code relief?
Yeah.
Yep. Here, the building code, we'd like to proceed with the building code relief because it is consistent with the type of relief that the board considers from time to time. It's specifically here.
Is this a historic building?
It is.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a letter from Historic South End Neighborhood Association, excuse me, Main Streets neighborhood, and it will have to go through landmarks.
Okay.
Instead of BPDA because it is
Okay,
a historic area.
I'm not clear on what the building code refusal issue is.
Yep, the issue here, Mr. Ehrlich, is any building that's over 4 stories requires a penthouse, which a walk-up penthouse access.
Yes.
6 foot, 8 inches, to access occupiable space, which would be a roof deck. The relief that, zoning relief that we're seeking here is the alteration of existing profile of the roof, which is for a roof deck in the rear part of the roof. Here, because it's over 4 stories, building code would require.
So the prints, the plans that I'm looking at show a sky door.
Yes.
Which is not a term, is that a brand name for a hatch?
It's essentially a hatch that does open up to allow for 6 foot 8 access, but it doesn't meet the building code. Because the
Okay,
building code,
that's what was,
that's the distinction
question.
there,
Okay, so you're looking for building code relief so you can use a sky door instead of a head house?
Instead of a head house, correct.
So may I have a motion on that?
Motion to grant the building code relief request.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tell us about the roof deck then.
The roof deck is this is a row house in the South End neighborhood, attached on one side, and on both sides, excuse me. In the rear, the front mansard roof will remain the same, and the rear pitch to the rear portion of the roof will be a small occupiable deck.
What's the dimension?
I think it's 12 feet by 14 feet. It's actually 17 feet by 13 and a half feet with an indent on the rear. So that's on its longest point. On its narrowest point, it's 3 feet by 17 feet.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
Drawings are adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisal Sharif with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in strong support of this proposal. The building is owner occupied, and the neighbors next door support it. And we also want to thank the applicants for working diligently and taking into consideration the thoughtful comments of their neighbors. Thank you.
Madam of the Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. We're also aware that the 8th Street Neighborhood Association sent a non-opposition letter for the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
A motion to, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
I'm not sure we need design review.
Yeah, it's
South End.
Landmarks.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
sorry. So let's just make a motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Calling BOA 963-979, 35 to 37 Elm Street. This is an install an addition in the rear of 35, the deck on the second and third floor, 37 Elm with new parking configuration, new roof deck on 37 Elm. Violations Article 62, Section 29, off-street parking design, size, access, and maneuverability. Article 62, Section 62-25, roof structure restricted district, and Article 62, Section 8, usable open space is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Bruce Moranci. I'm attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. Madam Chair, members, the underlying application here is an amend application. The property site is 35-37 Elm Street in Charlestown, which is in a 3F 2000 zoning sub-district. Madam Chair, members, there is an existing building at 35 Elm Street. The proposal here is for a three-story, in the underlying permit application is for a three-story addition to number 35, change of occupancy from a single family to a two-family. That permit issued as a matter of zoning compliance. That was an as-of-right, as we say, project. This amend application would make the following modifications to the buildings and the work that's already in progress. It would add a rear addition, which would be essentially a kitchen area on the first floor of 35 Elm Street with decks on the second and third floor levels above. And it would also add a new roof deck on number 37 Elm Street. The zoning refusal letter issued owing to design of off-street parking, because part of this application is to add two compact parking spaces behind the addition on the 37 Elm Street portion of the parcel. Parking had always been located here. There is an existing curb cut. My client sought to add an additional parking space here to satisfy neighborhood concerns about off-street parking in the neighborhood. There is also a violation accruing owing to insufficient usable open space, and that comes, of course, with the addition of a parking space in an area that did serve as a rear yard. And finally, this is a restricted roof structure district. This pertains to the new roof deck exposed to 37 Elm Street, which would be for that unit only. It would be 17 feet by 17 feet. It would be accessed by hatch.
Okay. Oh, let's see, so tell us about that first floor rear addition. How many square feet is that?
The addition is between 7.5 to 8 feet. If you look on the survey plan, plot plan on the cover, you can see, and then it varies from just over 19 feet to about 22 feet. Going to plan sheet A1, the lower part of the building is 35 Elm Street. You can see on the right, and you can see the kitchen area there. That is what the addition is on the first floor. Flipping the page, you can see how it is becomes a deck on the second floor and the third floor. Provides additional usable open space. At the same time, it does take away some open space on the ground floor level. We do have a violation for insufficient usable open space, but it does not result in any setback violation or an FAR violation.
Okay, and that 420 square feet open space is shared by both units.
The open space for 37 is the roof deck, and then there is the rear deck open space for 35. It is one structure. It's not two separate buildings. It's an addition and a change of occupancy. But the rear decks are for the use of 35. The roof deck is for the use of 37.
And how wide is that curb cut?
The existing curb cut looks, I believe it's approximately 12 feet. I'm not certain. Was it 16? Thank you, Pete. 16 feet, Madam Chair. Yep.
How are the plans, Mr. Owen?
The drawings are okay. The hatch is nice. There's no stamp from the architect.
My set is stamped and centered.
In the meantime?
I've got, well, then I would like, do you have an extra copy?
Yes, I do.
In the meantime, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Quinlan Locke with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Would like to go on record in support of this project. We did have an abutters meeting. It was widely attended by neighbors in that area. There was one concern about the currently approved plans of the property, which I believe I forwarded that letter, but most in attendance were supportive of the project, especially in keeping the existing curb cut. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? Please put your name and address on the record.
My name is Ed Pearson. I live at 36 Bartlett Street, 3 doors down from the project that's being built. My opposition is based on the lack of off-street parking, especially in the winter time. There's 2 large houses, there will be 3 or 4 more cars on the street, so you cannot easily fit into the spaces as I've seen them in that drawing. So that's my only opposition. The building looks very nice. They're doing a nice job. But the off-street parking is a big concern, and roof decks also, because of the gas grills people put on. So, and there's no other outdoor space. The house is very large that's going to be put there. So that's my opposition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
BPDA Board recommended denial without prejudice due to inappropriate massing and insufficient open space.
Thank you. Okay, given that information, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve BPDA design review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 965-645, 49 Monument Avenue. This is to extend living space into the basement. The house remained a 3-family, new basement windows. Violations, Article 62, Section 8, the floor area ratio is excessive. Name and address for the record, please.
Lawrence Stevens, 49 Monument Avenue.
Tim Sheehan, I'm the architect of the project at 9 Wall Street in Charlestown.
So please tell us what's being proposed.
Okay, this is an existing unpermitted basement apartment that's probably been there for 40 years, we think, at least. And we are converting it to habitable area as part of the existing 3-family, so it won't be a separate apartment anymore. There's some windows we have to enlarge to make it meet the building code. We'll have 8-foot ceiling height when it's finished, or very close to that. It'll be about 500 square feet, and it's going to be a family room, entertainment room.
And tell us the size of that first floor unit when combined with the basement space?
Well, it's just, the way the house is now, it's a single family. It's about 3,500 square feet.
Okay.
It's, on the books, it's a 3-family, but right now, with the illegal basement apartment, it was a 2. But the egress it doesn't work, so we're just going to make it one house, basically. It's still on the books as a 3-family, though.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Alec?
Drawings are fine.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Quinlan Locke with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I'd like to go on record in support of this project. An abutters meeting was held late June, lightly attended, and all were in support at that time. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 962-795, 33 Winthrop Street. This is construction of a roof deck. The violations, Article 62, Section 25, roof structure restrictions, and Article 62, Section 8, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes. My name is Brian Kelly, and I'm representing the proponent, Joanna Landvik, the owner of the unit on 33 Winthrop Street in Charlestown.
So tell us what's being proposed?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Can you pull the microphone towards you as well?
Tell us
so they
what's
can
being
hear?
proposed?
Yes, Joanna is, she has the top unit of a 3-unit building on Winthrop Street. She's proposing a roof deck that has an existing hatch. It's presently in place, so there's no head house being proposed. And Joanna also has exclusive rights and uses of the roof under her deed. Significantly, she has no use to the small yard down below. So we think it would be enhance the value and livability in an urban environment.
So the access is proposed from the rear
Correct.
hatch, and then you walk down an aisle
Correct.
to get to the main section of the deck.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. And this is how old is this building?
This building, unless you know the exact year, it's probably like the 1870s.
Yeah, I think it was 1830.
1812, yeah, okay.
How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
Well, the drawings are okay. Actually, I'm glad that you handed this out because there wasn't an elevation in the initial set. So with the addition of this one, they're adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Quinlan Locke with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Would like to go on record in support of this proposal. An abutters meeting was held early July, lightly attended. There were no issues at that time, and those in attendance were in support.
Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The councilor would also like to go on record in support.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Before I go to the last couple of cases, I'm going to jump ahead here for the recommendations. I'm going to read them into the record, and then we're going to need an approval for them. The hearing was held on Thursday, August 22nd, 2019, at 1010 Mass Ave at 5 p.m. Case BOA 851179, 79 School Street was approved. It was an cut open roof stall, 28-foot dormer, and add bathroom. BOA 948820, 31 Milford Street was approved. Was a renovation of the rear yard, 31 Milford. BOA 967989, 753 East Broadway was approved. It was a change of occupancy, takeout and delivery. BOA 950489, 43 Elmont Street was approved. It was building a new dormer, existing attic space. BOA 963-269, 39 Caruth Street. It was approved, extending existing roof deck, adding a canopy. BOA 954-988, 551 Park Street was approved with BPDA. This will convert a single family to a two-family residential, two vehicle parking. BOA 964-002, 121 Warren Avenue was approved. It was extension of living space into the attic. BOA 955-490, 35 Albano Street was approved. This was a finished existing attic onto the third floor. BOA 941-149, 60 Taunton Avenue was approved. It was a change of occupant from one dwelling unit to two dwelling units. BOA 950-137, 9 Rockwood Street was approved. It was to install skylights and finish attic space. BOA 947-317, 37 Aileen Street was approved. It was a curb cut, two vehicles. BOA 947, 9 Wilner Court was approved with BPDA. It was a floor aeration, building new sunroom. BOA 955-187, 92 Redlands Road was approved with BPDA. It was a renovation of an unfinished attic and include 3 bedrooms and 1 bath. And BOA 967-741, 145 Westmore Road was approved. It was a full bathroom, family room, mechanical room in the basement. And on the rediscussion, BOA 931-274, 220 Chelsea Street was deferred to the board today, obviously. No, I'm sorry, on 9/19/2019. Madam Chair, that concludes the subcommittee. We need a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We'll call the next case. 10:30, calling BOA 937-653, 166 to 168 Falcon Street. This was to build new 3 rear decks, remodel all bathrooms, kitchen, and electrical plumbing upgrade. Violations, Article 9, Section 1, extension of a non-conforming use. Article 53, Section 9, the FAR is excessive. Article 53, Section 9, side yard is insufficient. And Article 53, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Limbs, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, on behalf of the petitioner. With me is Hussein Bayat, the owner of the property, lot 166, 168 Falcon. This is a very straightforward proposal, Madam Chair. This is a pre-existing non-conforming structure, 3-family dwelling. located in the Eagle Hill section of East Boston. The proposal is for a simple modification of the building to allow for rear decks. Because this is an existing, pre-existing non-conforming use, the requirements for board approval are necessary in addition to the variances that would be required. As you can see from the plan submitted, this property sits in a lot that is about 87.5 feet in depth. It would qualify.
So is this the building?
Yes, it is.
It looks like a two-family. Where's the
Certainly
third
does.
unit?
Certainly does. If you look at the profile of the elevations that are provided with the plans, there's a full walkout, and the legal occupancy has already been established for the three-family dwelling some time ago.
Okay.
So the proposal, as I said, would include the rear decks that are shown in the plan, which triggers a rear yard setback violation, even though the lot would be considered shallow and qualify for the shallow lot exception. We are slightly within the setback that would be permitted, which is around 24 feet. We're a little bit over that by about 2 feet. So with respect to the side yard as well, because of the existing condition of where the building sits on the property line, the proposal to construct decks would also trigger the side yard setback requirement, which is at 5 feet, and this would actually be at 1 foot. We did have an opportunity to present this to the Eagle Hill Civic Association, who provided their endorsement for this proposal.
And that dormer is existing?
Dormer is existing, yes.
Okay. How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
Drawings adequate.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, and I would like to go on the record in support. During the community process, there were no concerns from the abutter, and also Eagle Hill Civic Association voted in support of this proposal. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would also like to go on record in support.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Karen Foley, Councilor Wasabi George's office would like to go in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 934-882, 347 Maverick Square. This is a new building for 9 residential units. The violation is Article 27T-5. This is in the East Boston iPod. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking and loading is insufficient. A parking space is 16 spaces are required. Article 53, Section 56, off-street parking, loading the design size. Article 53, Section 57, 3, traffic visibility across the corner. Article 53, Section 57, special provisions for corner lots. Article 53, Section 57, conformity with an existing building alignment. Article 53, Section 8, the use is forbidden. Article 53, Section 9, excessive FAR 1.0 is the max. Article 53, excessive height, 35 feet is the max. Article 53, excessive number of stories, 3 stories is the max. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient rear yard setback, 30 feet is required. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient open space, 300 square feet, a unit is required. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient side yard setback, 2.5 feet is the minimum. Article 53, Section 9, insufficient additional lot area, 1,000 square feet, a unit is required. And Article 53, Section 54, screening and buffering. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lins, 245 Sumner Street, East Boston, on behalf of the petitioner. With me is Brendan O'Hare, who is the project proponent for the project, actually the 347 Maverick Street, not to be confused with Maverick Square. I think that's what was read to the record.
Just 1 minute, Bob. Can you please look at the plans for parking?
I haven't seen it.
Do you have an extra second, Bob?
So this is Maverick Street, Counselor?
Maverick.
Not Maverick Square?
Correct.
Okay. Just gotta correct.
So, Madam Chair, this involves an existing, very old 3-family dwelling. There are actually 3 lots involved with this project. They would all be combined for purpose of this proposal with the 3-family dwelling demolished along with the garages located immediately to the left, which are actually located in a separate lot. The proposal would then result in the creation of a multifamily dwelling, and it would be constructed on a total of 5,706 square feet. We are proposing parking for a total of 9 vehicles, and that is an updated number of parking spaces that was based upon a lot of the community input that we heard on how this building should be designed. Upon completion, this project would be intended for home ownership. This is located in the Jeffreys Point neighborhood section. It's on the corner of Maverick Street and RD Street. RD Street actually has one other building located on it. That was a project that was approved by this board some time ago. We've used that for some of the context based upon comments that we heard from the community in the Jeffreys Point Neighborhood Association Planning and Zoning Subcommittee. Based upon the comments that we heard, there have been changes to this project over time. The board does have those updated plans for the project that we're presenting today. Those have been filed with ISD as well. With respect to the design, again, we indicated this would be designed for homeownership and condos. Based upon the community input that we heard, parking would be accessed from RD Street. RD is actually a one-way off of Maverick, so all the traffic would essentially enter the building by accessing the one-way street. With respect to the breakdown of the units, there's a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom units. Again, based upon input that we heard over a very extensive process with the Jeffreys Point Neighborhood Association, the unit sizes range from about 870 square feet for the smallest 2-bedroom up to about 1,440 square feet for the largest 3-bedroom, and that's located on the 4 floors of the building. 2 of the units are located at grade, which would allow for accessibility for the building. There is no necessity for an elevator. We do show roof decks on this building. The roof deck, because of the height of the building, would be accessed by a head house, but we did...
These are 2 roof decks, right? For 2 units, 8 and 9?
Correct.
Okay.
They're exclusive to those units only. They are accessed by head house. We did have a very lengthy conversation with the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee for Jeffreys Point. They have no issue with the head house for this particular project, provided we located it on the right side of the building where it is to shield the view as much as possible. So that's another change that we made to this project. We did ultimately receive the support of the Jeffreys Point Neighborhood Association.
So can you go through these violations?
Sure. So with respect to use, this is located in the 3F 2000 district. 3-family is the maximum number of units allowed. As I said, this is actually 3 lots that are being combined. One of the lots was traditionally an unbuildable lot. It had a Massport restriction on it for about 40 years. That restriction has now been terminated, and therefore that lot becomes part of a buildable, or can be assembled for purposes of the buildable lot. So we do require relief for multifamily. I would point out that the neighborhood does have a number of multifamilies in the immediate vicinity, including a large 38-unit project located directly across the street at 5 stories. The minimum lot width is compliant at 20 feet. We have about 61 feet total. We can comply with the setback for the front yard based upon modal for both the Artie Street condition as well as the Maverick Street condition. I assume that if this is approved, that there will be some design review to address the corner based upon the typical design recommendations from BPDA staff.
And tell us about the FAR height and stories.
Sure. The number of stories allowed is 3-story, 35 feet. We are proposing 4-story, 40.75 feet. We specifically kept this in line with the building that is now constructed. We do show it in the renderings. That is the only other building on Artie Street, so it is in line and consistent with the height and scale of what's on Artie Street presently. The FAR that we're proposing is a 2.2. Again, this is a conversation that throughout the community process has actually been reduced from the original plan. They were satisfied that a reduction to 2.2 was sufficient for purposes of this proposal. With respect to parking, we are proposing a 1-to-1 ratio. Again, that was there was a lower number originally when we proposed this. We were able to bring it up to the 9 for the 1-to-1 ratio, and the Jeffreys Point Neighborhood Association felt that was adequate, although we do still require a variance because of the number of spaces that we require in the code.
Hold on right there. Bob, how does the parking work from your estimation?
Madam Chair Lady, I have reviewed the plans, and the parking does work. I'm very familiar with the site because I lived across the street from it, and it does work. There was always a garage there with 3 doors, so it's something that's not unusual for cars to come and go from Artie Street. So at the plan that I did look at does work.
Drawings are okay. You're correct that the head house is sort of a little step back. There's no reason, however, why the head house couldn't have a sloping roof to maintain headroom, and that would, it still looks a little bulky. I would suggest some design review that.
Sure, we can incorporate that, no problem.
Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on the record in support. During the community process, there were no concerns from the abutter, and this project also got the support from Jeffries Point Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The councilor would also like to go on record in support.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office would like to go on record in support of this project. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve with design review with particular attention to minimizing the visual impact of the house.
Second. And the other thing I would probably add is something to make it look more contextual. So there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, before I call the last case, I just want to do the interpretation of the call of the chair at 12 noon. Case BOA 865-552, 200 to 202 Ipswich Street. The petitioner is withdrawing, but asking for a withdrawal with prejudice, so I'll make a motion for denial.
With prejudice, what does that mean? What does
Ask
that
Counselor.
With prejudice, okay. Okay, so may I have a motion, please? Motion for denial.
Motion for denial.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Going to the last case for 10:30, calling BOA 956-769-854 Saratoga Street. This is a change of use from a two-family to a three-family. The violation is Article 25, Section 5. This is the flood hazard district. Article 53, Section 56, insufficient parking. Article 53, Section 8, use is forbidden. Article 53, Section 8, excessive FAR. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. Nestor Limas, address business 73 Maverick Square. And I have here Mr. Alexis Hung, who's the owner of the property. The property is located at 84 Saratoga Street. Currently
Let me just jump to the chase. What's the base flood elevation in this area?
I have a handout it's located in a minimal hazard area.
And what is that?
The baseline, we haven't conducted that certification at this moment, but I would say that in the area which the building is located, there has been 4 other properties, namely the abutter at 852 that has been awarded the location of the basement build-out. It is about 50% above grade. It has a walkout in the back.
So this is your property, the proposed property?
The proposed property is the property of the owner, Mr.
I don't want to hear about abutters. I want to just hear about this proposal. Abutters, they might have done something illegal, I don't know. So I just need to know about this proposed property. So the base flood elevation has not been determined yet?
Correct.
Okay. And so tell us, you're proposing extension into the basement?
Yes, the building is currently 1,850 square feet, and we're proposing an additional 900 square feet in the basement. And it has 2 forms of egress in the front and the rear.
And so this would be, okay, so, and the utilities would be separate?
Correct. The plans note that there's a mechanical room in the front of the basement area, and this will have separate utilities.
How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
Well, let me just ask you that question. How do the upper units get to that mechanical room?
If you note, there's the front stairway, the front form of egress. They can walk down into the bottom area and move in the front of the building where the mechanical area is situated, the front stairwell.
There's a new, I'm looking at a drawing of the basement level, and there's a new stair from the first floor.
Correct.
To the basement.
Correct.
Which is the staircase that you're talking about?
That stairwell in the front of the building, which has the alcove, that's the stairwell that will go into the basement area in the mechanical in the basement plan A100. In the top of the plan. It says mechanical 95 square feet.
I see the mechanical 95 square feet. I don't see a stairwell.
The stairwell should be to the right of that.
Not in the drawing.
What's the plan and date that you have?
The date that I have here is August 15th.
Okay, let's just hold on for a minute. Can I just have testimony from the BPDA, please?
Yeah, the Boston Planning and Development Agency Board recommended denial. This proposal for a basement level unit is in a flood zone, and we're very concerned about that, certainly for the safety, but also for just the overall resiliency of the city.
So it's, so the reason is for safety of the residents in that unit
Right.
and resiliency. Okay. In the meantime, is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Lina Tramelli with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I would like to go on the record in support. During the community process, we got strong support from the abutters. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lydia Edwards. The council would also like to go on record in support.
Good afternoon. My name is Fabi Sasa, and I have a property next to the property that the gentleman here is gonna build his basement, and I am here to support his project. Thank you.
Is anybody here to speak in opposition? Just have a basic question, is that if this is in a flood hazard area, why should this even come to us? Because isn't that uninhabitable space then? Isn't, and I'm just going back to my memory of flood zones going back 30 years where that was habitable space in flood zones were not allowed, were not permitted.
Correct.
So,
It would have to be, yeah, you couldn't inhabit an area that was subject to flooding.
so this is subject to flooding, therefore it, yeah. Okay, so given that information, may I have a motion, please?
If I can add, Madam Chairman, the reason we came to this is because the ADU pilot program awarded several units in the lower level that...
But, you know, but the fact of the matter is, that may be true, but if these residents who move into this unit are going to be flooded, it doesn't make any sense.
There's mechanisms that could be taken to avoid and mitigate some of the flood if that were the case, which I would request a deferral, which you could put in the floodgate, and you could put in the higher mechanicals in an area to get an actual certification of the flood level.
Okay, you know what, flood hazard was cited in your application. This could have been addressed before it hit our doorstep. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to deny.
May I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling the rediscussions for 11:30, calling the first case, calling BOA 905-438, 64 Nelson Street. This is to erect a two-family residence on a vacant lot to include basement and two separate driveway parking spaces. The violation is Article 65, Section 9. The lot size to erect a two-family is insufficient. Article 65, Section 9, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 65, Section 9, the front yard setback is insufficient. And Article 65, Section 39, off-street parking required screening and buffering. Name and address for the record, please.
Just before we continue, I'd like to inform you and every other applicant who's in this room that we have a 6-member board and you need 5 members to concur an agreement for a project to pass. So you have an option of taking administrative deferrals should you choose.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will elect to go forward. And for the record, my name is Kevin Cloutier from the Cloutier Law Firm located at 1990 Center Street in West Roxbury. And I'm joined by Stephen Connolly, the owner of the subject lot. And what we're proposing here is to build a two-family home on a lot that is vacant that sits at the corner of Nelson Street and Maxwell Street in Dorchester. This proposal would be 2 units that would be subject to being converted to condos and sold. And it wasn't the original intent, but it's an agreement we reached through our interaction with the local neighborhood council, the Redefining Our Community organization. With respect to the zoning relief necessary, There's three primary points, one being that the FAR is excessive. Minimum FAR is 0.4. We have FAR of 0.58, though I'd suggest that the average FAR on Nelson Street of that neighborhood is 0.68, and then Maxwell Street 0.96. So we're well below the average of the existing homes, so it's consistent with the fabric of the neighborhood. Another violation is the front setback, which is 15 minimum, and we're at 14, so we're just a kind of a de minimis violation. We're 1 foot off there. Finally, lot size. The minimum lot size per the code is 6,000. We have 5,269 feet. Though out of 21 lots in that neighboring area, our lot is larger than 16 of those. So again, the use falls within, it's a two-family, this is a three-family zone.
Tell us about the parking. Is that a violation?
It's not, except for screening and buffering, so there is a design review aspect to this, but we do provide sufficient parking, one space per unit, so certainly we'd be working
Tell
with
us about the sizes of the units.
Each unit would be 1,517 square feet. They would include 3 bedrooms, 1 full bath, a kitchen, and a family room. And the basement would be mechanical only, and the attic is storage, so there's no living space in the attic or basement.
How are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich? Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Whitney Celestin with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We held an abutters meeting for this project. They've had multiple conversations with the ROC organization, and finally they've reached some agreements, and the ROC organization also sent a letter of support. So the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services supports this project.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dustin Gardner on behalf of City Council President Ray Campbell's office. We would also like to go on record in support.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, City Council House Michael Flaherty, Council go on record in support.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve design review. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. BOA 927-639, 100 Mount Pleasant Avenue. This is a change of occupancy from a two-family to 4 apartments, add a rear addition, and making 4 apartments within the existing building into addition. The violation, Article 50, Section 28, a multifamily residential use is forbidden use. Article 50, Section 29, the lot area for additional dwelling units is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, the floor area ratio is excessive. Article 50, Section 29, the height is excessive. Article 50, Section 29, side yard is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, rear yard is insufficient. Article 50, Section 29, usable open space is insufficient. And Article 50, Section 43, off-street parking is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. Philip Horesco, architect with Horesco Associates, Boston, 36 Bromfield Street.
So Phil, tell us what's proposed. Tell us what's being proposed.
Yes, what's being proposed is an addition on to what is an existing historic building. That front part of the building sits back a bit from the sidewalk, and it is has an entrance that's existing, so the front on the left that would enter into that historic part of the house. There is a unit there, as well as a unit at the rear that shares part of the lower area. So those 2 units, and then there's a unit on the 2nd floor, and then a unit on the 3rd floor. The building addition is on to the back behind the historic section, and it's slightly above the front section. And it is basically 4 stories at the rear yard. There's a lot of yard here. Parking is at the rear as well.
So there's 4 stories in the rear yard?
There's an elevation on the drawings I submitted, the very last page. The lower level, which ground floor garden entrance, that is shared with the 1st floor space. So it's like a townhouse unit at that point. And then the 2nd floor is another unit, as well as the 3rd floor being the top floor. These are for sale apartments, so they'll be condominiums.
Okay, and tell us about the sizes. They look like good-sized units.
The sizes of the units.
Well, the size of the units I've listed on the, basically, the first floor has it's the smallest of the units. It's a two-bedroom unit at 980 square feet. To the rear of it, we have a 1,730 square foot unit, which is first floor and the lower level. And on the second floor, it's 2,000 square feet, and the third floor is mirrored at another 2,000 square feet. So they're very nice size, good for families to be here.
So this is still, I think I'm a little confused. So this is still 4 units.
It is 4 units. At once upon a time, it was 7 units.
Okay.
And
parking is in the rear. How are the plans?
Going to find.
Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Jessica Thomas with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, and we'd like to go on record to support the project. They met with the butters in April, and they also met with the civic group in May and June. They did reduce the size from 7 to 4, and again, we'd like to go on record to support, continue that they continue to meet with the community regarding community benefits.
Thank you. Ma'am, you can line up.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Councilor Janney would like to go on the record in support of this project, the conditions that the developer finalizes, community benefits with the neighborhood association, and also Councilor Janney would like to appreciate the developer preserving the historical building.
Thank you.
And my name is Lavette Coney. I'm the president of the Mount Pleasant Forest and Vine Neighborhood Association, and we're at 339 Dudley Street. So we would like to provide conditional approval of this project to move forward with the understanding that the proponents and the association will continue conversations to negotiate, finalize community benefits prior to the permit being granted.
And we've agreed to that.
No, we don't go community benefits because we look at the project purely on zoning basis. So we don't go there.
Thank you.
So is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion for approval with BPDA design approval.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Calling BOA 931-560, 149 Salem Street. This is to erect a new 6-story mixed-use building. There will be commercial space on the ground floor and 9 residential units above. There will be a roof deck for an exclusive use of the top floor, unit number 9 only. Existing building to be raised under a separate permit. The violations, Article 54, Section 13, the floor-to-area ratio is excessive. Article 54, Section 13, the building height is excessive. Article 54, Section 13, usable open space is insufficient. Article 54, Section 13, the rear yard is insufficient. And Article 54, Section 18, roof structure restrictions. Article 54, Section 21, off-street parking is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is William Ferrullo on behalf of the owner, applicant with the law firm of McDermott, Quilty and Miller at 28 State Street. To my right is Arthur Chu of Chu Associates. You'll excuse me, a bit of a late summer cold. And to his right is Joseph Giangregorio, who's the son of one of the owners of the property.
So this is a 6-story with commercial and 9 families. And a roof deck for the exclusive use of the top unit?
Yes, which will be Mr. Giangregorio's sister's family will occupy the upper floor.
So tell us about the breakdown of those residential units, the sizes, the number of bedrooms, whatever.
Yes, the breakdown of the units is one 620 square foot, 1 bedroom, 3 655 square foot, 1 bedrooms, 1 767 square foot, 2 bedrooms, 3 798 square foot, 2 bedrooms, and the last is the sixth floor, which is one three-bedroom unit of 1,412 square feet.
Okay, and is this going to be an elevator building?
Yes.
Yeah. And the ground floor retail, how many square feet is that?
Hold on 1 second.
Um, 1,228.
1228?
Yes.
Okay, so there are a number of violations on this. Can somebody speak through it?
Yes. I may.
You know, you submitted a photo here. Will the building exactly be on, will it be the same size, same footprint, or will it be taller?
It will be tall.
Okay, so please then talk
On
through the
plan,
violations.
What I submitted to you is the existing conditions of the building, and that is that this is a wood structure building. It's very old, and as you can look closer at it, it looks like it's a brick building, but actually that is a faux brick shingle that's on the building.
So Counselor, we're trying to run the clock here.
Okay.
So I need your help here. So FAR, what's required?
The FAR in this district is 3. The reason why the FAR is going up, it will go to 7, which is that the basement will be used for the commercial space, so that will be counted. We have a 6-story building. And the difference now is that if you look at the second photo, part of this building is a 1-story structure on the side, and that will be built on to make this all one building.
What does that do to your butters windows?
I will address that. Do you want me to address that now?
No, just go through it and then let's
Okay.
talk about the impacts.
As far as the other violations, open space, the only open space being provided is for the one top floor unit, and that's part of a neighborhood situation where they don't want public roof decks for the rest of the building, so we're not providing it for the other units. Parking violation this is an existing 5 residential unit and 1 commercial space with no parking. As you can see from its location, parking is not a possibility. Even if you wanted to affect some type of construction, it's intersecting busy streets of Prince and Salem. The other violations are that there's a rear yard violation that's an existing condition of the building. In other words, the footprint now covers the lot size, but for a little bit of space in the back. And the next is the roof structure, which will take me to the issue of those windows. The roof structure is the conditional use permit that is required anytime you go up on the height of a building or you exceed the height of the building from 1985. In this instance, the building on 151, where you see those windows, and the abutter will speak to that, their attorney is here. Those windows are not, we will provide you with some photographs, those windows are not windows that were original to that building. Those windows are added. That is actually a side yard, meaning that there's no setback requirement for that side. I would also point out that those windows are in a potty wall and in a firewall, both of which are not legal. This is the building department file for 151 Salem Street, that building. There's no evidence that they've ever applied to put windows in that wall. If anything, what it shows is they have a history of violations for not pulling permits for work.
So please, let's just keep it to this.
Oh, I thought that's what you wanted us to address, was that. But I'll give you photographs of that as well in 1 second.
How are the plans, Mr. Owen?
The drawings are adequate. This is a sort of a question. It doesn't feel all that contextual in terms of what's in what's around it. Sort of more modern glass. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, this will go through the BPDA design review, but we're working on similar bays and materials with modern looks.
This has become an issue because is that we would prefer that people don't put placeholders as far as design, but come in with something something that will in fact look like what that building will eventually look like. You know, because we're seeing a lot of placeholder designs, and in some cases, they get approved by the BPDA, and we've seen some pretty interesting structures go up. And in other cases, when there's thorough BPDA design review, you can see it. Any questions from the board? Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Faisal Sharif with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We would like to go on record in support of this proposal. My colleague Maria Lanza held an abutters meeting on April 8th. There were over a dozen people in attendance. I know that there were concerns related to density or the height, but the vast majority of abutters in attendance were in support. You will hear some of the concerns from one of the abutters who's in opposition, but we want to go on support based on the community feedback. And we do expect the developers to continue working with the neighbors related to construction management. Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ricardo Patron from the Office of City Councilor Lady Edwards. The councilor would also like to go on record in support.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition?
Yes, if I could. My name is Joseph Brodigan. I'm an attorney. My address is at 40 Broad Street in Boston, Mass. I represent PF Holdings, Inc., who is the owner of 153 Salem Street, which immediately abuts this project on Salem Street. As you're familiar, the project's not only in Prince Street, but it wraps around onto Salem Street. As to the mayor's office saying that the abutters or the neighborhood...
See, I just keep it to your point. Just tell us the reason for your opposition.
The reason for our opposition is that this building is going to substantially restrict the light, the airflow, and the views to my client's building. My client has 3 windows on the side of the building, which my client's building is 4 stories. The property right next to it is only 1 story. They want to build it up, and it's going to block those windows or substantially encase those windows. The proposal that we also saw had bump outs from out into the sidewalk, which will also shade and cause restrictions on the airflow and the lighting into the front windows of my client's building. There's been no contention at all from ISD that these windows are in violation. My client bought this property in 1994. These windows were fully in place at that time, have been in place for over 24, 25 years, and even probably more substantially beyond that point without interruption whatsoever. So this will be a substantial impact on them. And the Neighborhood Association did withdraw their support of this approval. And there was a letter submitted to the chairperson yesterday. I also submitted a letter as well, if I could just provide them all.
Thank you.
To you. And I think under the regulation, under section 5418, that these are the factors that should be considered, and these will directly impact, this building will directly impact the air, the light, and the view from my client's building.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Russell Trainer. I'm the landlord's son of the building next door at 69 Prince Street. You just said...
What's the address again?
69 Prince Street. It's the building right next door.
69 Prince, okay.
The fire escape in the front of the building is connected directly to this building, which my dad was concerned about, as well as he was concerned on any damages done to his building. There is also existing fireplaces that are right next to the wall that are gas, so he had concerns of any damage or so, if that would cause anything. As well as my dad and the tenants that live there now of the restaurant, they were concerned of rodents and such, if that was going to be controlled when the building gets taken down or so. As well as that, nothing else.
Okay, so the 3 things were the fire escape connections, the damage to the building, and the vermin.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Mr. Ferrillo,
yes.
and the developer, you've heard the concerns of the abutters, so I'm assuming that that somehow that will be considered. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve with continued BPDA design review.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
And as a representative of the family who owns the building, I'm sure you will continue to work with your abutters
We are.
to make this work out
Absolutely.
in a fashion.
Calling the last case of the day, calling BOA 900-588-799 East 3rd Street. This is to raise the existing building, erect a new 6-townhouse-style dwelling and propose garage parking on each dwelling. The violation is Article 27S, Section 5. This is in the South Boston iPod. Article 68, Section 33, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 68, Section 8, usable open space is insufficient. Article 68, Section 8, front yard is insufficient. Article 68, Section 8, rear yard is insufficient. And Article 68, Section 8.3, dimensional regulations, location of the main entrance. Name and address for the record, please.
Joseph Rowell, MJR Consultant, 248 River Street, Norwell. To my left, Russell Radcliffe, 799 East 3rd Street. James Christopher, RCA Architects.
Okay, so please tell us what's being proposed.
My clients are proposing to wipe a site clean that had some previous bad history and is proposing now 4 townhouses which are zoning compliant. The only relief we're seeking is for the iPod. Based on neighborhood concerns, we dropped the original proposal from 6 roof decks to 4 units without roof decks and have put in a proviso that we will not apply for roof decks for the next 10 years. James Christopher can walk us through the plans.
So please tell us how the parking is supposed to work.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. James Christopher, RCA LLC. The parking is at grade, accessed by a common driveway, townhouse-style buildings front to back. Each garage can house 2 vehicles. The first living level would be living space with the 3rd and 4th floors housing bedrooms. The unit square footage is from 2,440 square feet to 2,444 square feet. 3-bed, 3.5-bath units. This project had an extensive neighborhood process. We originally started at 6 units with much smaller setbacks. After going back and forth as recently as a week ago Monday with the abutters, we believe that we've resolved all of the outstanding issues. The proposal has changed from 5 units down to 4. We've increased the rear yard setback to meet the requirement of 20. The FAR is at 2. We originally had the building sited to follow the modal on the street. We're able to increase that setback to 5 feet. So largely it's a zoning compliant project outside of the act.
Okay. And tell me, I don't think I understand from these drawings how the parking is going to work. So is it that somebody comes in off of East 3rd, goes down that driveway, and then tries to park in the space there, right?
The garage space is at grade, so they have...
So the garages are on the side yard?
Correct, yeah. The building, the doors are dressed, yeah, correct, the side yard.
Okay. And how are the plans, Mr. Ehrlich?
The plans are adequate. The garage doors are large.
Okay. And none of these units are handicap accessible or elevator accessible? No. Okay. Is anybody here to speak in support of this proposal?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Haley Dillon, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. We'd like to go on record in support, and we also want to emphasize the abutters who I've spoken to who were in opposition want to express their support due to the no roof decks for 10 years, put the AC on the roof, and proper engineered drainage. So with all of those that they've agreed to, all the opposition that I've spoken to is now in support. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ana Calderon from Councilor Flynn's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support to this proposal due to the considerable work that was gone into addressing quality of life issues and concerns of the neighbors and members of the City Point Neighborhood Association. We support the new plans that are zoning compliant with 4 units, 2 parking spots per unit, and no roof decks. Neighbors and the civic group also have also requested that we respectfully ask for a proviso to prevent any future roof decks at this property, that the AC units be placed on the roof, and that the proponent continue to work closely with the abutters during construction. However, in the interest of transparency, we will also ask that this be deferred briefly as Some residents received notice that this matter will be deferred today. We would like everyone to have an opportunity to review the changes and waiting in ideally in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Sorry. Karen Foley, Councilor Sabi George's office. We're in support of this project.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, on behalf of this council, I'd like Michael Flaherty, council to go on record in support. And the council would like to commend the proponent on working with the neighborhood, addressing concerns and making substantial concessions on the project. The council is here to support the second set of plans that are now zoning compliant with Article 68 for 4 units and 2 parking spots per unit and no roof decks. After hearing from neighbors and their concerns, council would also ask for a proviso to prevent any decks from ever being built on the property, as this was an important issue to gain neighborhood support. The council would also ask the AC units be placed on the roof. And lastly, the council encourages the proponent to continue working with the neighborhood throughout the construction phase.
Is anybody else to speak in support? Just you? Anybody else? Anybody in support, please line up, but I'd like to hear from 4 individuals, 4 abutters. And if anybody's here in opposition, I'd like to hear from 4 abutters in opposition. As I'd asked before, please give us new information. Otherwise, just put your name and address on the record. Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Luann O'Connor. I'm the Vice Chair of the City Point Neighborhood Association. Because of the proviso going in that roof decks will not be built for 10 years, no matter who the owners are of those units, City Point will support the project.
Thank you.
My name is John O'Toole. I live at 910 East Broadway. I'm the direct rear abutter to this project. I will not oppose this project as written at the 4 units if the 10-year proviso of no decks be written into the ZBA decision with the 10-year timeline starting after the completion of the project.
Hi, my name is Linda Cupstis. I live at 1306 Columbia Road. I just want to say that I'm in support of this project.
Hello, members of the board. I'm Jim Johnston. I'm a direct abutter. I've been there. I grew up in the house, and I have 3 generations of family right there. Myself and the group were originally opposed to the 6 units and the 5 units, and now with the provisos that have been added to the project, the 4 units, we have no objection. Thank you.
Please just put your name and address on the record and just state your support. Okay?
Patrick Caggiano, 156 K Street, South Boston, and I support this project.
You too, please.
Paul McCormick, 819 East Broadway, South Boston. I support the project as well.
Thank you. Is anybody here to speak in opposition? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve DPLD design review.
And 10 years on decks?
Yes.
10-year restriction on decks.
And air conditioning on the roof. And air conditioning.
That will, you'll get it through design review. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're all set. Good luck.
Madam Chair, I also have additional letters of support for the record.
Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.